60 matches down, 3 to go. We're at the semi-final stage down under with a place in the final of the Women's World Cup 2023 at stake. Scintillating Spain are the highest scorers left in the tournament, and they face a Sweden side who've done things the hard way, reaching the semis by knocking out 2 world champions. Could that be an omen?
This is a World Cup semi-final to remember on Talksport.
Penalty for Sweden. Angled down, no mistake. Sweden are too clear.
Caldente from the spot for Spain has scored.
Okay, about what we can do, and I think we have the possibility to win the game. That's important thing.
Plays it through the middle towards Blackstenius. Goalkeeper caught in 2 minds. Blackstenius is in!
Aitana Bonmati side-foot Spain into a 3-1 lead.
And I've never seen anything like it. Sweden progress. A spot kick decided by VAR. The champions USA are out.
That is a football fairy tale without any question whatsoever.
Paraguelo now for Spain. The game is opening up. It's Paraguelo! Brilliant!
I hope you're enjoying Talksport's coverage of the greatest cup competition in world football.
Still there for Sweden, and in by Amanda Illerstedt.
Anyone could win it. Believe me, anyone could win this World Cup. Can you believe it?
Well, only 4 teams can now win it, and whoever does, it will be the first time a new nation will be etched on the 2023 World Cup. This is Women's World Cup Live on Talksport 2. I'm Faye Carruthers. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday morning. We've been loving knockout football on this network first thing in the morning, and we're at the business end of things now as Spain and Sweden fight it out at Eden Park in Auckland for a place in Sunday's final in Sydney. Both these sides are littered with names that dazzle in the Women's Super League and in the Champions League. But who starts? Let's find out and say a very good morning to your match commentator, Joe Shannon.
Thank you, Faye. Good morning, everyone. Yes, comprehensive coverage of the Lionesses against Australia to come tomorrow. But for now, the first of the Women's World Cup semi-finals in 2023 here in New Zealand. And there are 2 changes for Spain following their quarter-final win over the Netherlands after extra time. Oyan Hernandez, the defender, is suspended, so Real Madrid's Olga Carmona returns to skipper the side at left back, and Alexia Putellas, one of the greatest women's players of all time, who missed almost all of last season plus the Euros with an ACL injury, makes her 3rd start of this World Cup. Esther Gonzalez drops to the bench. Bonmati, Redondo and Hermoso have all managed 3 goals each at this World Cup for Spain, who've scored 15 goals in total, the joint most of the tournament. Kata Cole is the goalkeeper. Ona Bacha, formerly of Manchester United, Irene Paredes, Laia Cadena and Olga Carmona the back 4. Alexia Putellas, Teresa Abellera and Aitana Bonmati in midfield. Alba Redondo, Mariona Caldente and Jenny Hermoso, the all-time Spain leading goalscorer, are the 3 up front. Sweden remain unchanged following their 2-1 quarter-final win over Japan. There are quite a few familiar names in their starting 11. Chelsea goalkeeper Zecira Musovic has had an outstanding tournament, particularly in that round of 16 tie against the United States, where Sweden won the most extraordinary penalty shootout. While the new Arsenal defender Amanda Illerstedt is the 2nd top scorer at this World Cup. 4 goals so far, 3 of which have been headers, and Sweden's set-piece proficiency has been a key element of their progress so far. They are now 5 times Women's World Cup semi-finalists, but they have never gone on to win the tournament. This is their side in full then. Zecira Musovic of Chelsea in goal. Everton's Natalie Bjorn, the new Arsenal signing, as I mentioned, Illerstedt. Magdalena Eriksson, formerly of Chelsea, alongside Jonna Andersson, also ex-Chelsea, at left back. The midfield 3, Philippa Angeldal of Manchester City, Elin Rubenson and Kosovare Aslani, with Johanna Kanarid of Chelsea, won the double last season, out on the right. Fridolina Rolfö, who scored the winner in the Champions League final last year for Barcelona, on the left, and Stina Blackstenius, who plays her football in the WSL with Arsenal, through the middle fence.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Joe. Someone who knows this stage of the tournament very, very well. Maybe not quite as well as Sweden, mind you. Won a bronze medal with England at the 2015 World Cup, in fact. Good morning, Leanne Sanderson.
Good morning, Faye.
How are you doing? How are these teams going to be feeling, particularly I'm kind of thinking from a Sweden point of view, when you've got to this point on so many occasions before but never actually gone on to lift the trophy, does that help or not?
Yes and no, really. We know these Scandinavian teams, especially Sweden, are always in and around it. At the Euros last summer, I felt like they were quite underwhelming. England beat them pretty comfortably 4-0, but this is a different Sweden team. I say that, there's not many changes to that lineup, but for whatever reason, they seem to have come together more as a cohesive unit. And I always think, Faye, to be the best, you've got to beat the best. So with Sweden, you know, they've beaten USA and Japan during this tournament, and they've had a pretty hard run to this point. So, and both these teams in Spain and Sweden have knocked out, you know, arguably teams that I said were the favourites, Netherlands and Japan. So I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm super excited for this one, and I think Sweden definitely look like, you know, with the set pieces, with Rolfo taking them and Asllani, they're dangerous on set pieces, but I think they have a good combination of experience and youth as well.
Yeah, they're really difficult to break down as well, Sweden. Can Spain look at that game against Japan and kind of learn from it?
Yes, I think so, for sure. I mean, that game against Japan, it was 4-0, seems like it was forever ago, doesn't it? Because you look at these two teams that are in the semi-final, and obviously sometimes you have to have a little bit of luck with the way that Sweden went through against the USA with Hurtig. It was such a fine line when Alyssa Nair saved it and it goes in. So, but I think Sweden have looked really good this tournament, but we know with this Spanish team, they're going to be possessing the ball. They've got really good footballers in their team that are really comfortable on the ball. So I think it's going to be a really good game. It'll be interesting to see, because I think Sweden can really hit them on the counter. But I think Spain will be really good, because the way they move around the field, you know, in triangles is quite amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they're two very, very different styles of football, aren't they? And I can't quite decide if they're going to cancel each other out in this game or if it's just going to be like frenetic. How do you see it playing out?
I think the first 10-15 minutes we'll start to see. I think the fact that Alexia Putellas is back in the lineup, you know, this is her third start of the tournament, but they're managing her minutes based upon the fact that she's come back from that ACL injury and had minimal minutes. She came on in the Champions League final. So she's definitely, I mean, she's best player in the world. Is she at that point yet? I'm not quite sure. With all the minutes, she hasn't really played that much, but she's still a threat. You know, Mariana Caldante as well, fantastic player. Bacha Bonmati, what a player she is. She's one of my favourite players to watch in the world. So I definitely think with the way they possess the ball and the quality they have, they can definitely make the most of it. But Sweden have looked so dangerous, not just on set pieces. It's their first and second to every ball. I think if you look at a lot of Ilsted's goals, she's always in and around it. I mean, we could potentially see a centre-back getting the golden boot. Imagine that. I don't think we've ever seen that before.
I love it. It's just been wonderful, but actually it shows at the same time, you know, the strengths that Sweden have, don't they? And they use that height advantage for them, for sure. Back with you in a second, Leanne. Let's see what the bookmakers think. It's time to get the latest odds with 888 Sport. Will Gavin joins us from 888 Sport. How are the odds looking for this one, Will?
Yeah, morning Faye, morning everyone. Very exciting being at the semi-final stage, and not that I want to tell you that you're going to be doing a longer shift than expected today, but the most popular bet on 888 Sport today is for this to be a draw at 90 minutes at 11-5 as it currently stands. Spain women are the favourites at 23-20, with Sweden at 13-5 as it currently stands. Interesting to see as well that they're expecting a relatively low scoring affair, both the bookmakers and the punters. Under 2.5 goals has been backed into 1-2. Over 2.5 goals is 7-5. So possibly a tense affair, maybe offsetting each other. You talked about those very different styles, and similarly both teams to score no is 4-6. Both teams to score yes is 21-20. And finally, just to qualify to go through from this stage, whether it take extra time, whether it take penalties, Sweden's women 6-4 as it currently stands. Spain 1-2 odds on.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Will. Those are the latest odds thanks to 888 Sport. 18 plus. Gamble responsibly. BeGambleAware.org. You're listening to the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023 semi-finals on Talksport 2 in association with Xero small business accounting software. Dream bigger. Don't go anywhere. We're just under 20 minutes away from kickoff. This is the Women's World Cup live here on Talksport 2. It's semi-final time and it's Spain against Sweden. We're about 15 minutes or so away from kickoff in Auckland at Eden Park, and Spain have enjoyed the majority of possession in each of their 5 games so far at this tournament. But Swedish coach Peter Gerhardsson insists that the Swedes' high pressing game makes them a tough outfit for any team.
We don't really know what's going to happen, because sometimes it's this high pressing that both Spain and we want to have. And if you succeed in that part of the game, it transitions, it's going to be. And I think that's Spain's best side. They're good in keeping the ball. They're good in taking the ball from their own half to the penalty box. But the best thing is when they lose the ball high, they're very quick. They're very good in taking it back. And there we have to be good in transition from maybe a little bit lower than we were against Japan. They defended a little bit lower than we thought. It's going to be a high pressure Spain and a high pressure Sweden, and there between it's transition. So, and for me, it's lovely football.
It is lovely football. Thank you very much. Sweden coach Peter Gerhardsson there. He's been in charge of the team for such a long time, hasn't he? And they play a really delightful style of football, defensively solid as well. It's going to be fascinating to see how they do against this high-pressing Spain team as well. Former England striker Leanne Sanderson, part of our commentary team, will bring you live commentary of Spain against Sweden in this semi-final at Eden Park in Auckland in around 15 minutes' time. But I'm quite excited about how these two styles are going to match up, Leanne. We touched on it at the beginning of the show, but they're also going to have to be wary of the threats that each other face, and it feels as if when we talk about the centre-back Amanda Illerstedt being this unlikely candidate to claim the Golden Boot, 4 goals in the tournament, all from set pieces. From a Spain perspective, when you know your opponent is that good from set plays, does it change the mindset of how you defend against them?
Well, obviously you don't want to give away too many set pieces against a team like this, similar to France with Wendy Renard when they're on corners. You know, they're always a threat because you're so good in the air. So it is in the back of your mind, but I think ultimately you have to play your game. But I do think it does play a factor in maybe tactically how you do set up to a certain degree, because you're probably mindful of giving away set pieces, you know, in and around the box. But with regards to corners, they look so dangerous that Spain are just going to have to, they'll zonal mark, which I'm not a big fan of zonal marking anyway. And I think against this Swedish team, what I said before the break was that, you know, they don't get to the first ball, they get to the second ball as well, and they keep it alive. Magdalena Eriksson is really good at keeping the ball alive, and Illerstedt can come and put it in the back of the net, easy as it sounds. And it's quite strange because when you look at their European Championship last summer, you know, Sembrent was one of the only players that would have been in there. She's on the bench, and Illerstedt comes in. So there's not been a lot of changes the coach has made, but whatever he's done, it's definitely working, because it looks night and day from the last European Championship last summer.
Yeah, it really does. And of course they lost 4-0 to England in that semi-final then, which was just, you know, and they'd been largely the best side in the opening, 20 or so minutes of that match. But I keep mentioning the 4-0 defeat for Spain against Japan, but I think it's because we've seen them shine in this tournament attacking wise, but defensively they're really fallible, particularly on the counter-attack, and that's something that they're going to have wanted to have worked on.
Definitely, and I think in their backline, they've got experienced players in Batia and Paredes playing there as well, so they're going to have that and step up when it really matters. I think in the midfield as well, Lexi Putellas coming back in, it'll be interesting to see if she starts higher or she plays in the 10, and then Bon Mati is so good at getting back to front. I think there could be some holes in the middle of the park defensively for them, because I think Sweden will attack and counter-attack quite quickly, which will then maybe they could cause Spain a lot of problems. But I think with the way this Spanish team possess the ball and how good they are with Jenny Hermoso, Redondo and Caldante, I just think they'll have a lot going forward, and it'll be in the back of, maybe the Swedish backline won't be able to get Anderson and Bjorn won't be able to get as forward as they have in the other games. But I think this Swedish team looked really confident, and when Spain lost 4-0 to Japan, it just feels like that was forever ago.
Yeah.
And I think some teams have grown as the tournament's gone on, including England, including teams like Australia. So, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And I think this is going to be a really good matchup. I think tactically for both coaches, it'll be interesting to see, because they're both different styles of football.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's going to be so exciting.
Yeah, I agree with you. We need to touch on the off-field problems that Spain have had, because you talk about growing into a tournament. They had such a standing start going into this tournament. Although, obviously, they were successful on the pitch, everything that was going on off the pitch, there are still 12 players who were part of the European team last year who aren't here. 15 players, for anybody who hasn't heard this story, there was like a mutiny. 15 players threatened to quit if the head coach Jorge Vilda wasn't fired. 3 of those players came back in ahead of this World Cup, clearly having apologised. Jorge Vilda's come out saying, his team wouldn't be in the World Cup semi-finals if the country's federation hadn't backed him during last year's player revolt. But there's clearly still something going on behind the scenes, and it doesn't feel as if there is a connect between the players and the coach, even though it seems to be working on the field.
Yeah, and I think those things definitely play a factor. I mean, it's quite frightening to think they're in a semi-final with all the problems they've had off the field. It reminds me of the French team under Diancra. They had so many issues over the years, and ultimately you just, as a player, you want to play football. And I'm sure for the players that are still away from there and the 3 players that have come back in, that will cause probably quite a lot of problems, because it's almost like we stood strong until the last minute. But it is a World Cup. But you've only got to ask players like Ada Hegerberg. You know, you have to sometimes choose your moral over your career in the women's game, and hopefully, you know, those conversations will become something in the past, because it's something we've all had to do, Faye, in the women's game throughout our careers, have to choose certain things over other things. But I think the fact that they're in this position, you know, is a good thing with regards to they're in the semi-final under all the kind of scrutiny they come under. But you don't want to go into a tournament with all those things going on, and you know, you can see there's definitely still discomfort within the team with the coach. You can see that. But ultimately, he's going to pick the best players he can, he has available. And players like Bon Mati, one of the best players in the world, if she becomes available, you pick her.
Yeah, you've faced off-field turbulence, as we know, in your England career. I mean, it does feel as if the strength in depth, if you park the off-field problems, the strength in depth that this Spain team has actually been impressive, and points to some good things going on in the country, and you know, leading in a way. And it's really difficult, because I've spoken to so many different people who don't want Spain to do well in this tournament because of what has gone on with Jorge Vilda, and that's really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think sometimes it's interesting, because different players will have different ways of dealing with stuff like this, and sometimes these things can bring you closer together. It's almost like sink or swim. You know, some players might still feel a certain way, but then other players can just get their head down and play football. So I think ultimately sometimes it can bring you closer together. I play for coaches where I might not have liked their tactics, and none of my teammates have, but you just kind of get on with it, you come together and you do what you got to do. But I completely understand why some people don't want them to do as well in this tournament, based upon the fact that, you know, the off the field stuff hasn't been good enough. And I think, you know, with all the uncertainty going into the tournament with regards to that, like I said, it's quite frightening to think how far they could have gone if those other players were available for selection. But you've only got to look at the last game. You know, you talk about the strength in depth. Paraluelo coming off the bench, you know, scoring the winning goal. She's a really good player, and I think really a good weapon for them to bring off the bench, similarly to how Barcelona do. So they've definitely got a lot of strength in depth. You know, Esther Gonzalez will be disappointed to be on the bench within this game, but you bring in Alexia Putellas when she's available and when she's fit and healthy. Why wouldn't you, especially in a game of this magnitude?
Yeah, and Paraguayo as well, the young teenager who scored the winner. She's been fantastic and lit up this tournament as well. She's been really great when she's played. Will Spain ever have a better chance to win a major tournament? And it seems, I mean, you say it's frightening that the other players, you know, aren't here, and we saw what they did against England in the quarterfinals, and England of the Euros, and England very close to going out. But actually, they haven't been successful with that team. So maybe this youth, this injection, this different Spain almost, you know, can go all the way.
Yeah, do you know what? I think for all of these teams that are still in Spain, Sweden, Australia and England, I don't think there's a better moment for them to potentially win a World Cup, genuinely. And I think all these teams that are still in it, if they were to fail, it would feel like a massive disappointment with regards to like Germany being out, USA, Canada, Brazil. You know, the path is clear now. And I feel like, you know, you start to feel it. I mean, in 2015, when I played against Japan and Laura Bassett scored that freak own goal that will never happen again, you know, you start to feel it. And I think in that tournament, we had this feeling of momentum. And obviously the final against the USA was over in 20 minutes. Carly Lloyd scored a hat-trick in about 20 minutes. So, you know, sometimes ultimately you just want to get there. It's a World Cup final. These players will be ready. Both sets of players for today and tomorrow, and these are the moments you play for. But the pressure is there, Faye, for sure. But I don't think there's a better moment for any of these countries to get to a final than it is now. The path has been set up for them. The brackets have been set up. I think Sweden absolutely deserve to be exactly where they are. If you beat Japan and you beat USA, then you deserve to be in this position.
You certainly do. The light show at Eden Park in Auckland is absolutely spectacular, and this is a stadium that's used to hosting cricket and rugby union, and has been welcoming football over this tournament and breaking records every single match. This is the final match at Eden Park as well, and what a light show they're putting on for the Spain and Sweden fans here. Just one quick last one before the players make their way out here, Leanne. Two of the quarterfinals went at least to extra time. 2 matches in the round of 16 as well. Semi-final back in 2019. Who does this match favour if it goes beyond the 90 minutes?
I think it will favour Sweden if it goes into extra time based upon the physicality, the fitness levels and the way they counter.
Right, the players just on their way out in the tunnel. You can hear the heartbeats there. Kosovar Asllani looking serious, focused as she prepares to lead her Sweden team out for this semi-final. You're listening to the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023 semi-finals on Talksport 2 in association with Xero small business accounting software. Dream bigger. These two sides are dreaming of a World Cup final. Two European heavyweights. They've never had their hands on this trophy before, either of them. High stakes for Spain and for Sweden in this semi-final. Sit back and enjoy in the company of Leanne Sanderson and Joe Shannon.
Thank you, Faye. Good morning, everyone. The marathon of the Women's World Cup 2023 is nearly over, and the finish line looms in the distance with the final sprint not far away. 4 teams remain in Australia and New Zealand with the prospect of glory before them. There will be a new name on the World Cup trophy by the end of Sunday afternoon, and the Lionesses will take on co-hosts Australia tomorrow in Sydney in the last 4. But in the first of the semi-finals we have a clash of styles as free-flowing Spain, who've made the last 4 to World Cup for the very first time, play a Sweden team who've come so close on so many occasions but play their 5th World Cup semi, having never won the tournament before. Both sets of players are astride the halfway line, and we begin with the national anthems of both nations. We start with the side ranked 6th in the world, Spain. Jorge Vilda, the Spain head coach, all smiles on the touchline. Despite the split in the camp before the tournament, Spain have made the semis. They take on Sweden, and now the Swedish national anthem. A rousing rendition. Sweden are playing in their 5th World Cup semi-final. Only the United States have been involved in more, and Sweden have knocked the USA and Japan, 2 former World Cup title winners, out of the tournament in their journey so far. They've only ever won 1 of their previous 4 semi-final matches at this tournament, Sweden, and when they went on to reach the final in 2003, they were beaten by Germany. Spain have never beaten Sweden, though, in 11 previous meetings. They are 2 very different sides in terms of the way they play and terms of the way that they set up. They go head-to-head here at Eden Park in Auckland. 8 o'clock, coming up to 8 o'clock local time in the evening. Dark skies overhead and the floodlights are on. The final stage of the tournament looms large. The final at Stadium Australia in Sydney on Sunday. It will be live on the Talksport network. The 2 sides, Spain with Kata Col in goal, Batcha, Paredes, Cadena and Carmona the back four. Puteas, Abellera and Bonmarti in midfield. Redondo, Caldente and Hermoso up front. For Sweden, Musovic is the goalkeeper. Bjorn, Ilestedt, Eriksson and Andersson the defenders. Angeldal and Rubenson in the holding midfield roles. Canarid, Aslani and Rolfe behind Stina Blackstenius up front. The two captains, Aslani and Carmona, exchange the pennants on the halfway line, and we're just about ready to get underway. Leanne Sanderson, former World Cup bronze medalist with England in 2014 and 2015, is alongside me, and Leanne, Eden Park is full. A great sense of expectation about the Lionesses, but we'll focus on them tomorrow morning. For now, a really interesting matchup between two teams who play the game a very different way.
Yeah, they do, and I'm excited for this one, Joe. I think we're going to see two teams that play completely different styles. We know this Spanish team will possess the ball very well. They're really good at getting out of small and tight areas. I think this Swedish team will look to counter. You know, I talk about the middle of the park for this Spanish team will be really crucial in Bonmati getting forward, but maybe she'll be pinned back quite a bit because, you know, you've got so many Swedish players who can get forward in Ralfa and those types of players. And I think this team, I said it before, you've got to be the best, you've got to beat the best. And I think Sweden have done that for sure during this tournament, beating USA, beating Japan, and then Spain. It feels like it was a whirlwind ago that they lost to Japan. So, you know, they're both in this position, and I don't think there's a better moment to get to a final.
Well, we have commentary of Australia against England in the other of the semi-finals tomorrow on Talksport 2. Later tonight in League One, commentary of Barnsley against Peterborough. Friday night on the network, Nottingham Forest against Sheffield United on Talksport. Leeds against West Brom here on 2. Saturday, Plymouth against Southampton in the Championship on 2. Wolves against Brighton, Manchester City against Newcastle on Talksport. But for now, it is crunch time at the 2023 Women's World Cup. Spain out to make history and reach a World Cup final for the first time ever. Sweden in their 5th semi-final, here to end their run of heartache at the World Cup. One of these nations will face either Australia or England in the final on Sunday. We'll be right behind the Lionesses tomorrow on Talksport 2. But the first of the semis is about to get off and underway. Sweden to get us started from right to left, all in bright yellow with blue trim, and Spain in the red shirts, dark blue shorts and dark blue socks from left to right. Early header clear by Irene Paredes for Spain, the centre half. It's hooked down the inside left channel for Rofer by Rolfe for Sweden, but out of play, the ball had already gone, and a throw to Spain in their right back position on this near side of the field. A dark night in Auckland. It is relatively chilly, lots of fans with the scarves and hats on. We are in the middle of the winter in Australia and New Zealand, but we can't wait for this encounter, which could really be stirring, this first of the two semi-finals. Spain have scored the joint highest number of goals at the tournament, and Sweden, who've knocked out a couple of the leading nations on their run to the last fours. Zecira Musovic, Sweden and Chelsea goalkeeper, wearing number 1, with a clearance high up over the halfway line. Laia Cadena with a clearing header. The flick downfield by Caldente, but it's straight to the feet of Sweden's Magdalena Eriksson, formerly of Chelsea, who joined Bayern Munich in the summer. 11 trophies in her time at Chelsea. And Eriksson's long ball clear is headed away by Paredes for Spain. Spain 0, Sweden 0. Just over a minute gone on Talksport 2 in the Women's World Cup semi-final. We'll get a word from Leanne Sanderson in just a moment, but here comes Spain on the attack with Hermoso, the near side, the right. Sweden smuggle it clear. Spain, though, retain possession midway inside their own half the field. There were splits in the Spain camp before World Cup qualifying got underway, and still 12 players not involved who signed that infamous letter to the FA demanding changes to the coaching staff. Spain keep possession, and really Spain have reached the semi-final to some extent against the odds, Leanne Sanderson.
Yeah, for sure. We spoke about it before, didn't we, Joe, about all the stuff that's happening off the field of play, but the fact they're in this position now with about 12 players is quite incredible.
Cross from the left-hand side, it's looping and gathered by the goalkeeper, Zecira Musovic. It was Caldente with the ball in from the left wing. Musovic took it well. She was so outstanding, the Sweden goalkeeper, in the round of 16 win against the United States in particular. Spain 0, Sweden 0.
Yeah, she's been brilliant, Musovic, when you consider she plays minimal minutes for Chelsea. You know, she's not the number one there, and I feel like, you know, maybe it's given Emma Hayes a lot of food for thought for going into this season, because we know Ann-Katrin Berger plays, and rightfully so, but Musovic had a fantastic tournament, and I think when you have a commanding goalkeeper that's confident, I think it makes a massive difference.
Clearance away by the Spanish goalkeeper Cata Cole, who's made her debut for the national side at this World Cup, played both knockout matches, just her third ever appearance for the Spain national team, and it comes in a World Cup semi-final. Spain have the ball in the left-back position with the captain Carmona steering it forward towards the halfway line, and Aitana Bonmatí of Barcelona, who's got 3 goals for the tournament so far, alongside her teammates Alba Redondo and Jenny Hermoso, both of whom were in the starting 11 today. Given away though by Spain. Sweden have it back. Opportunity, Blackstenius edge of the D, twisting, turning, putting it through the middle, but it's cut out and cleared away downfield by Spain, up towards the lip of the centre circle, where it's won back quickly by Natalie Bjorn of Everton. An early ball into the chest of Aslani, plays it back out wide, floated cross deep towards Rolfer at the far post, taken well by the goalkeeper Cata Cole. 3.5 gone on Talksport 2, goalless it remains.
Yeah, really good play from Sweden. You know, Blackstenius is up front a lot of the time. She's playing as that lone ranger up front, but it's really important that Rolfer and Asalani get in and around it, and I think that's something they'll be looking to do. They've done it really well during this tournament when they get bodies around her, because sometimes when you're in that number 9 role all the way up top, you know, she might not have number 9 on her back, Blackstenius, but she's playing in that role. It's always quite difficult to be isolated on your own, whereas Asalani and Rolfer, their roles are so important within this game.
Rolfer in the centre circle, scored the winner for Barcelona in the Champions League final earlier this summer. Given away though, Spain in those red shirts and dark blue shorts have it back on the far side of the field, but twisting and turning is Hermoso, the 33-year-old, and into a bit of trouble, and Sweden quickly win it back. So Spain into the semi-finals of a World Cup for the first time, in the semis of a major tournament for only the second time. It's been quite a rapid rise up the international rankings for Spain, the side ranked 6th in the world. Sweden, meanwhile, have been in contention at so many tournaments in the past, but they've never quite gone all the way. The closest they've come, runners-up in 2003, but they're looking to reach the World Cup final for the second time today. Jorge Vilda, the Spain coach, under pressure, stands on the edge of his technical area in a dark coat and a very big jumper, and Sweden have the ball on the halfway line with Eriksson. 0-0 with 5 minutes gone. And here is Ilestedt, who's just joined Arsenal and is potentially looking to become the joint top scorer at the World Cup today. There's a foul on the halfway line on Elin Rubensson. Not a good tackle from Bonmatí. Referee gives Sweden the free kick. There'll be a word with Bonmatí from the Brazilian referee, Edina Alves. And I think that was a final warning early on, Leanne.
Yeah, it was. I mean, she's pulled her back. It wasn't really much in that at all. She was just looking to delay the Swedish players from going forward. I don't think there was much in it. I'm not really sure why the referee was making out. She did a really reckless tackle. It was just she was the wrong side of her and just had to pull her back.
The ball is on the far side, the Spain left. It's dinked forward by Bjorn, headed away by Carmona. Spain struggling to clear, but Carmona very quickly nips in to wing it back in the left-back position for Spain, the Real Madrid player, who is seen as a very exciting prospect. And what an honour to skip the Spain side at this stage of a major tournament. Header on the halfway line, away from danger by Ilestedt. The ball bouncing around and it's brought down neatly on halfway by Caldente for the Spanish. She wins a throw on the far side. Spain 0, Sweden 0. Peter Gerhardsson, the Sweden boss, in his blue and yellow jacket, sitting in the technical area now. Spoke about the excitement of playing in matches like this before the game. Football, the greatest sport on earth, he said. This is the greatest stage on the planet for these Spain and Sweden players. Here is Ona Bacha in the right back position for Spain. Good noise from the 50,000 here at Eden Park. There's a big running track between the stands and the field of play, but we're certainly hearing the noise of the crowd come through loud and clear. Spain typically popping the ball about very confidently, Leanne.
Yeah, they are, and this is something I think Sweden, in the opening 7 minutes of the game, you can see they're doubling up all over the field of play, trying to delay Spain from going forward. I think Unabacha will be really important. She came inside there and it almost was able to break the press to a certain degree, and now they have a little bit more space.
Ball fed forward high up the middle by Spain. Opportunity to tear onto that from Alba Redondo inside right channel, but it was too long in the end from La Cadena, and Redondo couldn't reach it, and the ball is out of play. And it's a goal kick to Sweden away to the right hand side. And already I think in the opening minutes we've seen the contrast between the two teams. Spain, a free-flowing side who love to get on the ball and play that expansive, attractive and attacking style of play, and Sweden much more comfortable out of possession and set up relatively defensively in the opening 8 minutes or so. 0-0 the score.
Yeah, they have, but I think the Swedish team look really organised. I think it's been great so far to see how Spain are trying to break the Swedish press. They're pressing all over the field of play, but we saw something there that we're not used to seeing. Cardona tried to play a long ball to Redondo. That's not something we're used to seeing the Spanish team do, but we know they can have that in their locker. But Sweden will be happy if Spain start to go long, because they'll feel like they'll beat them in a foot race, and the physicality I think will outweigh. But I think Spain are pretty comfortable on the ball. All of their players all over the field of play are comfortable receiving the ball under pressure and also getting out of pressure as well.
One of these sides will play Australia or England in the final on Sunday. We'll have the final live on the Talksport network tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock kickoff for the Lionesses against the Matildas, live here on Talksport 2. There'll be build-up on Talksport Breakfast as well, every weekday morning from 6 a.m. And today on the show with Ali McCoist and Andy Townsend, the Brighton CEO Paul Barber, after all the transfer activity involving Brighton this summer. What a deal that Paul Barber and Brighton have managed to negotiate for Moises Caicedo, well over £100 million. Great to have Paul on the breakfast show on Talksport this morning. Alan Brazil in the chair Wednesday to Friday, and from December Jeff Stelling will be hosting Talksport Breakfast alongside Ali on Mondays and Tuesdays. White and Jordan from 10 till 1 every morning in the week on Talksport. So much to look forward to and get excited about, and a lot of live football across the week to come as well. Forward by Onabacha, inside right channel for Spain, but Magdalena Eriksson is across. Eriksson will just knock it towards the left back position. It's kept in play by the very experienced Jonna Andersson, winning her 85th Sweden cap today. Out of play it goes. Spain throw deep into opposition territory. Spain 0, Sweden 0 in the last 4 of the Women's World Cup here in Auckland. We've had just under 10 minutes of play. Alba Redondo crosses. It's looping deep to the far post. It's a poor delivery though. That's out of play. Goal kick, Leanne.
Yeah, not the greatest of balls from Redondo, but I think you can see how organised this Swedish backline are. Ilsted, Eriksson, Andersson and Bjorn, they're not giving these Spanish players any time on the ball, and they're really going to have to work to break this press for sure. But I think the way the game will settle into itself, we'll start to see Sweden trying to possess the ball a little bit, because I think Spain have had most of the possession so far, but Sweden will be okay with that.
Musovic places the ball down, the Sweden goalkeeper. Away to our right-hand side, short sleeves for Zecira Musovic, who made 11 saves against the United States in that round of 16 when it was 0-0 after extra time. Sweden won it 5-4 on penalties, and you might remember the winning penalty was awarded as a goal after a VAR check. They were that unsure whether it was over the line. Sweden on the back foot here though, Spain on the attack, cross from Carmona, Redondo heads it back across, cleared away up into the air, only as far as Redondo, still in the 6-yard box, hammered away eventually by Natalie Bjorn, and away to safety. There was real threat to the Sweden goal there, and Spain looked to come forward dangerously, but as Redondo headed it back across goal, nobody in a red shirt was there to turn it home. Spain dominating possession, dominating in terms of territory, but it's still Spain 0, Sweden 0 on Talksport 2.
That was a brilliant ball from Carmona. I love the way this Spanish team just set the ball up. They don't just hit and hope. They try to find the spare player, and they're always good at doing that. They're good at getting out of situations, tight areas, and Carmona there could have just hit and hope as she tried to pick out Redondo, and it was just almost boxed out by too many Swedish players around.
Here is Carmona out in the left back position again for Spain, who must have had something like 80% of the possession so far. They've never beaten Sweden in 11 previous meetings, and in fact Spain's 2 biggest ever defeats have come against Sweden, 7-0 and 8-0, but both of those were a long time ago. the most recent coming in qualifying for Euro 2001. Spain are a completely different side in 2023, and they've looked the better team and the more likely to score so far, but they haven't managed to really carve out a clear opportunity against this very robust and difficult to beat Sweden backline. Sweden will be more than confident of taking them out in the semi-finals. 0-0 the score, and that chance for Redondo where she headed it back across goal, which was the only option that she really had, Leanne Sanderson, the best half opportunity of the match in the 12.5 minutes that we've had.
Yeah, I like that ball from Carmona. I mentioned it before, and Redondo was trying to find Jenny Hermoso in the middle of the 18-yard box, couldn't quite pick her out. But we're seeing, Sweden are forcing Spain to sometimes go a bit more route one than they're used to. We speak about how comfortable Spain are on the ball, but I think Alexia Putellas in this game as well, she's going out, dragging out to the left-hand side, trying to find space. We know Alexia Putellas likes to be more central, but I think Sweden are doing a really good job. They're so organised. Yes, they're not possessing the ball at all, but they're hard to break down.
Ona Batcher, formerly of Manchester United, charging down the near side, the right for Spain. Goalless against Sweden. Bon Marti's deflected cross, loops up into the air off Rubenson. She heads it back into the park of Batcher, edge of the penalty area. Hermoso trying to spin and turn. Clever pass backwards to Carmona, who drives it from range, and it's just beyond the near post. Spain so close to the opening goal. Carmona wants a corner. I don't think Musovic got a touch. May have taken a deflection on its way behind. Still Spain 0, Sweden 0 in the Women's World Cup semi-final, but Spain are really knocking at the door for the opening goal.
Yeah, Jenny Hermoso does very well there to get out of a situation, finds Carmona. I think it does take a deflection of the Swedish centre-back. Musovic didn't get anywhere near it. I can understand why Carmona was appealing for that, but Carmona seems like the spare player on the field of play right now, which is quite surprising based upon, we spoke about the midfield matchups within this game, but she's getting a lot of the ball. She's had one shot on target, nearly on target, then she puts the ball into the box. She's got a lot of joy down that left-hand side, so for sure Canarid and Bjorn are going to have to get a little bit tighter to Carmona, because she's being very attacking down the left.
Straight out of the Spain playbook so far, but it's Sweden on the attack now. A rare attack in the opening 14 minutes for them. Blackstenius led with the edge of the 18-yard box. Teases it back to Rubenson with that long sleeve shirt. Long ball into the penalty area. Downward header is wide by Johanna Canarid, but the offside flag was up, and Canarid of Chelsea didn't find the target anyway. 0-0.
Yeah, decent play. It was offside from Canarid, but a good run.
Only just offside.
Only just, yeah. And Rubenson puts a really good ball into the box. And a good play. Finally, we started to see Sweden trying to make some type of attacking type of style, because they haven't had the ball at all. And fair play to them. Sometimes we talk about teams having a lot of the possession, but ultimately you have to put the ball in the back of the net. So Sweden will be okay with this. I think you're treading a bit of a fine line when you're allowing Spain to have this much of the ball. But sometimes it's not about you allowing them. We saw in the semi-final of the Champions League, Barcelona versus Chelsea. Chelsea couldn't get near them. Similarly to this game right now.
It's the voice of former Lioness Leanne Sanderson, who's played at a World Cup with England, and England against Australia, live tomorrow morning on Talksport 2 from 11 a.m, and already the nerves are building a bit, Leanne. That's England going into the Lions' Den in Sydney.
I know, I'm so excited for that one, Joe. It's going to be a great game. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be a really good game. And I think from a player's perspective, when you're watching this game today, you'll be thinking, I can't wait till tomorrow. If I was playing, I'd be thinking, I cannot wait for tomorrow.
A real belief about the Lionesses now, and full coverage and commentary, as I say, to come tomorrow on Talksport 2, and the final live on the Talksport network on Sunday. That's an 11 o'clock kickoff our time. Well into the evening in Auckland in New Zealand here for the first of the semi-finals. If you just joined us, 16 minutes have been played. Spain 0, Sweden 0. Spain have been the better team. Carmona's long-range effort, we've seen in a replay on our monitor in the commentary position, did take a deflection on its way through, but the referee said goal kick. Here is Aslani, the captain for Sweden, skipping infield from the far side, the right, blocks off by Carmona. Spain will hammer it clear through Teresa Abellera, high towards the halfway line, where it's met by a thumping header from Ilestedt, who has scored 4 times in the tournament. That's incredible, really, for a centre-half. She's only one off the top of the scoring charts at this World Cup, and I'm sure Arsenal fans are enjoying what they're seeing. Leanne, a former Arsenal player, Ilestedt has really hit the headlines.
Yeah, for sure, and I think the fact they got that deal done before this tournament, not just because she's scoring goals, but I think she's had a really good tournament, and I think a lot of teams would have probably be in for her. It'll be interesting because, like I said, on set pieces, they're so dangerous, but she keeps the ball alive.
Given away by Abellera. Sweden on the counter-attack. Rolfo bursting through the middle. It's a brilliant run to the edge of the box. Has it taken off her toes at the last though by Onabacha before she could get the shot away. Sweden will come again. They've got the ball with Angeldal of Manchester City, midway inside Spain territory. Sweden playing from right to left, all in very bright yellow. And now Ilestedt chips the ball high and long on the diagonal. There's way too much on that. Miles over the head of Johanna Kannerid, who won the double at Chelsea last season, albeit not a regular starter in the team. And the ball is out of play for a throw to Spain in the left-back position. 0-0 it remains. And of course, with all the live football and all the live sport that we've got on the Talksport network, not just this week but across the course of the season, 450 live commentaries. We had rugby for you last weekend, we had boxing as well. The best way to stay across everything is to download our app, and then you can swipe between different matches, the two stations at your leisure.
I don't think it's a coincidence as well, Joe, that a lot of these players play in the top flights, play for top teams within their nation as well.
Absolutely. And it's Spain coming forward again, a top side at international level these days, Spain, with Redondo, right wing position, taking on Jonna Andersson, driving in field and playing it square right along the edge of the 18-yard line, intercepted though by Angeldal. It's played back by Kannerid to the right back, Bjorn will scoop the ball clear to the halfway line. It's quickly retrieved by Laia Kadina, who knocks it out of play, and Sweden have a throw just shy of the halfway line on their far side, the right-hand channel, as we look at it.
I think Sweden needs to do a better job of keeping, the ball. I think Bjorn just got the ball there down the right-hand side, and she just kicked it straight down the other end. There was no real thought process. I think when they do have the ball, Sweden, they really need to make sure they take care of it, because we know Spain will have most of the possession, but they need to use these moments like they have now to get their confidence, find the spare player on the field of play, and hopefully set up an attack.
Well held up by Blackstenius, down in the left wing position for Sweden, doing a lot of that tireless work that we see her do for Arsenal in the WSL, where she was top scorer for Arsenal last season, 17 goals across all competitions. She's straight offside on this occasion. Spain have a free kick midway inside their own half of the field. 0-0 it remains, and neither goalkeeper's had a serious save to make in the game just yet. Though Spain have had a lot of the possession, Sweden are coming back into the match, Leanne.
Yeah, I think that's poor from Stina Blackstenius there. You can see the whole way across the line, and the Spanish back line did step up really well, but she can't be offside in that situation. You've got to look along the line and take a look. But I think the way this game's set up is still, 20 minutes into the game, and both teams, no one's really settled the game down at all, and I think it's exactly how we expected it to be. We speak about the styles of both these teams are so different, so it'll be interesting to see as we go into the game how they get through, how Spain find a way through this Swedish team.
It's a good ball by Abelliera, who sits the deepest of the three midfield players, out to the left and Caldente. Carmona racing forward on the overlap, taking on Kannerid. Spain 0, Sweden 0, live on Talksport 2, just under 20 minutes gone. The ball is midway inside the Sweden half, again well held up, good strength on the ball by Alexia Putellas. Spain are so delighted to have her back in the squad, back in the starting lineup. Missed almost all of last season due to an ACL injury. She missed the Euros in England last summer as well, Putellas, which was so key to the blow that Spain took, beaten in the quarter-finals last summer by England, memorably after extra time. Who knows what sort of difference Alexia Putellas could have made. Floated ball into the box by Carmona, headed away bravely by Eriksson, ahead of Hermoso. Hermoso were actually caught in that slight clash of heads there, but play continues. Spain with Bonmatí, great skill corner the 18-yard box, great reverse ball, and it just evaded Hermoso and floated into the gloves of the goalkeeper Musovic. Lovely work in a tight area by Aitana Bonmatí, dexterity to steer the ball away from Rubinson, and then the flight of the pass towards Hermoso just a little too highly out.
Yeah, Rubinson could not get anywhere near Bonmatí there. That's why I love her, Bonmatí, the balance to be able to create. She almost found Jenny Hermoso and it goes through to Musovic, but fantastic play from Bonmatí. She's the type of player, when she gets going, you can't stop her. Rubinson did well to get out to her, but completely sold her.
A number of times that you see Bonmatí wearing that number 6 and a style of play compared to the likes of the famous Xavi and Iniesta, who of course were so key in the men's Spain team that won the World Cup. Not bad players at all. And the playbook in terms of the Spain style, and Jorge Vilda, the head coach, said it before the game, everybody knows how we play, everybody recognises the blueprint of our style. It is almost exactly really reminiscent of the great successful Spain teams of that side, but that era that won the World Cup in 2010.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what we're seeing with these two teams in Spain and Sweden, completely different teams than last summer. You know, England beat Spain 2-1 with that amazing Georgia Stanway winner after they went up by Esther Gonzalez's goal. And then the Swedish team looks completely different to the one that England beat 4-0, for sure. So these two teams have definitely, you know, learned from those experiences last summer. They wasn't terrible, they wasn't disastrous, but these two teams we know are usually competing in these situations they're in now.
They're far more resolute these days, Sweden. Very calm goalkeeping on the ball by Kata Cole to turn away from the onrushing Blackstenius, and Spain have played the ball up through the thirds impressively to the halfway line. Great tempo as well as ball possession from Spain in the first 23 minutes that we've had here. Midway through the first half on Talksport 2, and Spain 0, Sweden 0 it remains. The first of the Women's World Cup semi-finals with Australia against England to come. Live tomorrow on Talksport 2. The ball is midway into the Spain half with Abellera, and then a square pass by Paredes to Laia Cadena. Out to the left-hand side, Carmona's in the full-back position. Carmona shovels it forward to Caldente. Caldente, socks rolled halfway down her shins, holds it up neatly. Delightful crossfield ball. Redondo is onto it, inside right channel, pulls it back from the dead ball line. She's held it up, steers it into the path of Hermoso, and Hermoso tried to turn where she didn't have space to do so. Rubenson came across to make the challenge, and it's knocked out of play for a Spain throw just inside opposition territory on the halfway line, 0-0.
Great ball from Caldente, great run for Redondo. As soon as she came inside, I thought she was going to let it go over her left foot, tried to find Jenny Hermoso. I'm loving that matchup down this left-hand side between Anderson and Redondo. I think there's been a lot of, you know, good 1v1 situations. That was probably the first time that Anderson got beat down this side on the right, and it almost created an opportunity for Spain to score.
Here is Bonmarti, middle of the Sweden half. Spain so intricate with the ball at their feet, and Sweden, as Leanna's mentioned, well organised, but even at times they look a little stretched. The side ranked third in the world against an opponent against whom they've never lost, as Abellera wins a free kick just inside her own half the field. I think the referee could have played advantage there. Aslani came across, and realistically Abellera had shrugged her aside. The referee decided to pull the play back and give Spain a free kick, and Spain have now lost the ball. Jonna Andersson, Sweden's number 2, steers it infield to Eriksson, then a flick up to halfway by Rolfö. Arms outstretched, Rolfö there. Body language showing disappointment as she gives it away. Spain have won it back high up the field. Spain 0, Sweden 0 into the 25th minute. Crossfield ball, Bonmarti, only half cleared by Canarid. Carmona, 25 yards out, urged to shoot, blazes it miles over the bar from range.
Yeah, not the greatest of efforts from Carmona, but she's had a couple of opportunities in this game where she's getting up and back down this left-hand side. It definitely set up, it just was a poor execution in the end. But I think, you know, the way the game's been set up so far, I think Sweden will be okay with the fact they're being completely out-possessed with the ball, but I think they do need to take better care of it. I like the fact the referee is letting some things go. I think there was an opportunity where Redondo and Anderson were going at it and she could have given a free kick. She didn't let the game play, because we know the physicality of this Swedish team, and they're going to look to try and, you know, get in amongst these Spanish players' faces, but nothing really phases the Spanish players because they're so comfortable and good on the ball.
Miscue by Blackstenius right in front of the Spain dugout. Jorge Vilda, the Spain head coach, out to the edge of his technical area. He's also the sporting director for women's football in Spain, as Caldente is fouled out on the far side, the left. Tackle by Bjorn, and an unfair tackle from the Everton player, who was very consistent in the WSL last season. And a free kick to Spain, as I say, about 10 yards into opposition territory. It's 0-0 in the semi-finals. Spain against Sweden. Has it had the intensity that you'd expect of a semi-final, Leanne Sanderson?
I think so. I think it's been a really good game so far. It's gone the way we kind of expected. Two teams have played different styles. I think Sweden are going to look to, they're getting Bjorn there, you could see got really tight to Caldente, and that's something they're going to look to do. Sweden disrupt this Spanish team's style of play and kind of try to annoy them, bring players down, not to be like malicious or anything like that, just to kind of disrupt their play.
Ball is on the halfway line, and Sweden have won it back. It's poked down the right-hand channel. Canarid will chase, but it's all the way through to goalkeeper Kata Cole. All in grey away to our left-hand side. It was an overhit pass in the end from Philippa Angeldal, and Canarid has plenty of pace, but even she was never likely to reach it. It's a delightful playing surface here in Auckland at the Eden Park Stadium. Like a dark green carpet. The ball is running very true. Paredes has it for Spain. Midway inside her own half. Paredes in the red shirt. Long crossfield angle ball is cued by the defender. It's come down to Caldente, who's taking on Bjorn. Flicks in the cross. And Redondo at the far post. Couldn't quite reach it. Smuggled away by Anderson. Hammered further clear by Bjorn. Up to the halfway line. Lacadina is there. Spain will build another attack. In fact, just as I say that, Lacadina steered it out of play. But there was nearly a half chance in there for the Spaniards. 0-0 it remains.
Yeah, you can see they're definitely trying to find Redondo down this right-hand side with the late runs into the box. I actually thought Sweden defended very, very well there. They look really organised, but they're also getting first and seconds to all the balls going into the box. I think they just need to have a better out when it comes to possessing the ball, because they're kind of just whacking out the field of play to Blackstenius, but not really finding her at all. And she's kind of not really had much of the ball within this game. And we know how dangerous she can be when she does have the ball.
Good turn on the far side, the right by Blackstenius. Across came Teresa Abellera to win it back for Spain. Little touch midway inside her own half from Putellas, and Putellas is tripped. And Spain with a free kick midway inside their own half. A little over physical from Aylin Rubinson, and the referee, very authoritative presence. Adina Alves right on the spot to give Spain the free kick. In fact, actually, a second look on the monitor, it looked like Rubinson got to the ball. Anyway, Spain on the attack with Batcher driving inside right channel. It's picked up by Hermoso. Hermoso a long way from goal, lots of yellow shirts in front, and that's a careless pass here.
It is, and I actually feel the same. I said they're going to look to disrupt the Swedish team, but I actually thought that was a fair tackle for Rubinson, and I think the Spanish players are going to have to anticipate the fact the press is going to come. And I think Sweden are doing a really good job of getting in their faces, second 2 or 3 players around anytime the players are getting the ball.
Good little touch by Caldente, dropping back to the halfway line. Just shy of half an hour gone now. We've got commentary from League One to come later on Talksport 2. Barnsley against Peterborough. 2 games for you on Friday on the network in the Premier League. Nottingham Forest against Sheffield United exclusively to Talksport. That's not on TV either, that one. And Leeds against West Brom in the Championship here on Talksport 2. Leeds have had a stuttering start to life back in the second tier. Huge game for Plymouth, who've come up from League One, back in the Championship against relegated Southampton on Talksport 2 on Saturday lunchtime. Wolves against Brighton in the Premier League at 3 on Talksport, plus all the goals as they go in. And at 8 o'clock on Saturday, Manchester City, the champions, against Newcastle. What a mouth-watering counter that is on Talksport on Saturday. And all that before the return of Monday Night Football. You heard it last night from Old Trafford on Talksport. You'll hear it at Crystal Palace against Arsenal next Monday. All of the football, all of the time. Ona Batcher winning the ball back for Spain. You're almost given away there by Paredes to Rolfer. Hacked away by Lacadina. Spain 0, Sweden 0. Women's World Cup semi-final. Half an hour gone. Who looks the more likely former England striker Leanne Sanderson?
Well, I think when you look at the possession that Spain have had, but I think in the last 5 minutes or so, there's been a few shaky moments for the Spanish back line. I think Rolf has definitely gone a little bit higher up the field of play as well. And one thing to be said is that when she plays for Barcelona, she plays fullback. You know, yes, attacking minded, but she plays in those fullback areas, whereas for Sweden she's a little bit more advanced, and it's due to the fact that she's so good and she's so versatile. But I think it's been pretty evenly matched so far. I just think Spain have had so much possession but not really many chances.
A long ball driven high down the Sweden right, and Canarid is chasing, but Lacadina is there first, and Lacadina will play the ball to the feet of Putellas, and Spain very neatly and elegantly get the ball away from danger, and it sets a potential counter-attack in motion. Ona Batcher driving up towards the halfway line. The Barcelona right back, held up by Rolfer, has to check her run and play it square infield to Abellera. Abellera fouled, tongue of the shirt by Angeldal. Free kick to Spain just inside Sweden territory.
I think we'll start to see the referee. I mean, she's let a lot of things go, but I think we'll start to see her start to give players yellow cards, because there's been so many stoppages within this game so far, and Sweden are going to continue to look to disrupt the Spanish team.
The referee blows her whistle for the free kick to be taken. It's driven crossfield by Paredes. Ball takes a bounce before being chested down by Caldente. Level the edge of the 18-yard box. Caldente tackling on the right-hand side with Bjorn. Caldente, that's a real battle between those two. Both have that physicality to go with the technical ability, and Bjorn wins that particular battle and win Sweden a throw. There's a wry smile from Mariona Caldente, who scored a penalty in the quarter-final win over the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because we're only 30 minutes into the game, but you can kind of see how all the other ties have gone into extra time and penalties, because neither of these teams, I think they're being not necessarily reserved, but they're not really creating a lot of chances penetrating through the middle. We haven't seen many opportunities on the edge of the box. You know, Carmona had that opportunity, went sailing over the bar, but there hasn't been a lot created centrally, has there? So I think we'll look to see that maybe in the second half, maybe with some substitutions. Paraluelo will probably come on and stretch the field of play a little bit, because Jenny Hermoso definitely looks to check to feet. She's a very good player, but she's always checking to feet, and I just think they need someone to stretch the field of play a little bit, Spain, because it becomes a little bit predictable.
Spain 0, Sweden 0 in the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023 on Talksport 2 in association with Zero Small Business Accounting Software. Dream bigger. And the referee's given a free kick for Spain here, far side of the field, midway into opposition territory. Putellas appealing to the referee, and Spain get the decision. In fact, it's a little closer towards the 18-yard box than initially thought, probably 10-15 yards or so from the corner of the penalty area. Spain have sent plenty forward. You can hear the noise starting to crank up in Auckland here in New Zealand. Well into the evening, it looks like Teresa Abelliera with the white hairband on is the player over this free kick. Plenty of red shirts forward inside the penalty area for Spain. Might they get the first goal of the semi-final? Abelliera hits it hard towards Paredes' far post. Plenty of yellow shirts surrounding her, headed away by one of them, Bior. It's come back though to Putellas, not next to the defender, down by the dead ball line, great cross, good block at the near post. Might have been Eriksson, might have been the goalkeeper to get a touch to claw it away. Amazing skill from Putellas with the original nutmeg, and in the end it's out of play for a Spain corner. That's the first of the game, well over half an hour into it. 0-0 on Talksport 2.
Absolutely brilliant play from Alexia Putellas. Angodal was very fortunate that Putellas didn't go down, because she looked like she tried to grab her from behind, but it's a great save in the end. Good positioning from Musovic to be in that area. Might not seem like it was that much she did, but her positioning which allowed her to parry the ball away.
Pushed it clear, didn't she, with that strong right hand. Corner to Spain, first of the game, whipped into the near post. Hermoso's there. Redondo couldn't reach the ball on the back stick. It'll be cleared away by Fridolina Rolfer, who was the subject of appeals in the stands there. The Spanish fans felt there was a foul by Rolfer, a body check maybe, but I don't think so. I think it was a fair challenge, a shoulder challenge that is perfectly legal, and Spain now have it back, but they've got to build from the edge of their own penalty area again with 10 minutes of the first half to go. Yeah,
I agree, Joe. I think she was just stronger than Redondo. Rolfer comes away with the ball, but then has that nice body check, comes away with it, and then just kind of kicks it down the other end, and it goes straight to Spain. I think they just need to do better at getting into areas in the final third and possessing the ball in those higher areas of the field, because they're just giving it away. As soon as they get it, they're giving it straight back to Spain.
The free kick just shy of the halfway line given to Sweden. Sweden, who won their group at the World Cup for the second time. They knocked out the US on penalties. The USA, a record 4 times World Cup winners, who are going for 3 in a row coming into this tournament. And then in the quarterfinals, Sweden beating previous World Cup winners Japan by 2-1. So they have shown already at this tournament they can beat the best. 0-0 against Spain in the last 4. Australia or England await the winners in the final on Sunday. Paredes has knocked the ball out of play, and she's been caught in a clash with Rolfer. The referees just stopped the game momentarily. There'll be a quick word for Paredes to make sure that she's okay. In fact, it was Blackstenius who just collided with Paredes, completely unintentional. And the Sweden throw beneath the floodlights here, level the edge of the 18-yard box at this bowl-shaped stadium. Little ball by Rolfer to find Anderson. Down by the dead ball line, Anderson can't squeeze it into the path of her teammate Canarid. Batcher comes across to make a tackle. Sweden throw by the corner flag.
Yeah, I mean, Una Batcher last year, how good was she for Manchester United women? I mean, she had a big loss this year in the WSL.
Great turn by Aslani to spin away from Batcher, but Paredes is there to hack it clear. Lovely touch by Jorge Vilda, the Spain coach, to control that in his technical area.
Yeah, great touch.
He was at Barcelona when he was a youngster, Leanne, before his playing career was ended prematurely due to injury, so he quickly got into coaching. he is a man under pressure given all the off-field controversy, the 15 players who sent the letter to the Spanish FA complaining about the coaching. Here come Sweden on the counter with Bjorn bursting up the middle. It's cleared away though by La Cadena for Spain. It's 0-0 here. No complaints about Spain at this World Cup. Into the semis for the first time. And 3 of the players who sent that letter, by the way, are in the Spain squad. Caldente, Bonmatí and Bacha, they're in the starting 11. The other 12 remain missing, remain out of action for the Spain squad, and that includes 4 players who won the Champions League with Barcelona last season. So that dispute is, to an extent, still unresolved, but if Spain win the World Cup, then you'd have to say Jorge Vilda would be vindicated.
Yes, to a certain degree, but it's interesting because those 3 players that have come back in not only into the squad but into the starting 11, I'm sure that will cause some problems within their team.
Yeah.
You know, because if you've got players that are writing a letter saying, you know, we're not going, how do you then have 3 players that then turn around and say we are going? So, you know, they're in a really good space. It's quite interesting because sometimes when the adversity happened, it could bring you closer together as a team, and I think we're seeing that within this Spanish squad. But it'll be interesting to see what happens after the tournament.
Absolutely. And they seem united for now. Here is Caldente, middle of the Sweden half, left of centre, ball forward up the middle. That's a lovely little touch on the edge of the penalty area. Opportunity here, shot driven wide. It was Bonmatí who brought it down very neatly, just in the little circle, the semicircle on the edge of the penalty area, and then found space to get a shot away. And I think we'll be disappointed, Leanne, that she hasn't hit the target.
Yeah, lovely little ball from Caldente to find Bonmatí. By the time she hit it, she was quite off balance, and it was always going to be going wide. You could see she potentially could have picked out, you know, Jenny Hermoso. I understand why she took the shot off, but the turn from Bonmatí was really, really good in that tight area. I love watching her play. What a player she is.
Spain 0, Sweden 0 it remains. And just on Jorge Vilda, you are right, but it is all about balance and percentages with this, because there was that clip on social media, wasn't there, after the quarter-final win over the Netherlands, and everybody was celebrating, but he was very much standing alone, and a lone figure that maybe suggests that it's not an entirely united camp necessarily. I mean, that was one 15-second clip, but nobody was celebrating with him, it didn't look like.
No, and I think that says a lot, but like I said, when you're on a team, as long as you're all singing from the same page, yes, you have to have guidance from your coach, but sometimes you have the ability to make changes on the field of play, and I think it's important. I'm sure they've had conversations within the squad. Ultimately, they've turned up to a World Cup, and it doesn't get much bigger than playing in a World Cup. So the fact that they're all there, those 3 players that have come back in as well.
Well, given away from the throw by Rubensson for Sweden, just nicked off the toes of Hermoso by Eriksson to poke it back to the Sweden goalkeeper very nearly, and set Hermoso through on goal there from a Sweden mistake from their own throw.
I love Magdalena Eriksson because she kind of just looks to Rubensson as if to say, what are you doing? She did really well to recover the ball, and then she turns around with 2 arms as if to say, what are we thinking?
Here is Putellas for Spain, finding Bonmatí. Chips the ball crossfield to the right-hand side and Bacha. Spain, much the more enterprising of the 2 sides. I think objectively watching the game, the style of play that Spain are producing is much easier on the eye. Sweden, robust and organised, but a little more predictable in terms of the way that they go forward, and they've rarely ventured forward in the match so far, very much playing on the counter. That's a foul though by La Cadena in the centre circle, and ultimately, to be fair to Sweden and their head coach Peter Gerhardsson, we've had 40.5 minutes, it's 0-0 in the semi-final against Spain, and Sweden haven't really conceded a clear-cut opportunity in the match.
No, they haven't, and I don't think there's been a clear-cut opportunity for either team, to be honest. I think centrally we see Blackstenius winning the foul there, but she's having to drop so deep into her own half. That's not where you want your number 9 having to go, so far deep. So I'm hoping in the second half and even the latter parts of this first half we'll start to see some opportunities, because both teams I don't think have created, apart from Bonmatí getting into a couple of situations where she got the shot off. Other than that, we haven't seen many clear-cut opportunities in front of goal.
Good run by Rubensson on the far side, the Sweden right, but of course is blocked off by Carmona with the lime green boots on. That'll be a throw to Sweden, out 5 yards from the corner flag on that far side of the field. Can Sweden nick a goal just before half-time? It's a throw-in that they've got. They've been so deadly from set plays in the tournament. Haven't forced a corner just yet. Cleared away by Carmona for Spain again from the dead ball line. Only as far as Bjorn. Hooks into the box. Roll for far post. Forces the save from the goalkeeper. First save that either goalkeepers had to make Fridolina Rolfö, a player for the big stage, left-footed on the volley, didn't maybe catch it perfectly, but Kata Cole had to plunge to her right to make a decent stop.
Absolutely brilliant ball from Bjorn, outside of the foot. What a ball this was. Absolutely love this all day long. Fantastic ball. And you're right, Joe, Rolfö didn't quite get hold of it as well as she could, but we spoke about it. Having all the possession stands for nothing if you don't put the ball in the back of the net. And that's probably the closest we've seen in this game to there being a goal.
And now Sweden have one of their favoured corners. It's going to be whipped in by Aslani. High and deep to the far post. Good goalkeeping by Cole. Didn't so much as punch it clear, as swatted the ball clear with her right hand, but it was effective and deliberate. Out of play it goes for a throw to Sweden on the far side. Spain 0, Sweden 0. 2.5 minutes of normal time remaining in the first half, and the quality of the goalkeeping has been excellent at this Women's World Cup.
Yeah, it has, and Kata Cole there does very well. Nice strong hand, because we spoke about the set pieces and how dangerous Sweden can be on them, and it's in the back of their mind for sure. So that looked really commanding from Kata Cole, and it's exactly what the Spanish players will be looking for.
Sweden have won another corner. They're having their best spell of the game. Jorge Vilda sitting in the technical area, looking a little nervous now, the Spain head coach. 4 of Sweden's 11 goals at the tournament have been from headers. And here comes Amanda Ilestedt, the centre-half, who's scored 3 of them, and 4 in total for her across the World Cup so far. She's one off the top of the scoring charts, the centre-half. Can Sweden strike just before half-time in the semi-final? Australia or England await in Sunday's showpiece in Sydney. The corner will be swung into the penalty area by Anderson. They've loaded a 6-yard box with yellow shirts here, Sweden. Blackstenius and Ilestedt standing right in front of the goalkeeper. They need a new ball here, I think, for some reason. Anderson's placing it down, formerly of Chelsea. Nervy moments these for Spain. Goalless live on Talksport 2. Everybody back for Spain, it looks like, inside the penalty area. Jonna Andersson will take it, left-footed, high into the 6-yard box. Goalkeeper punches, could drop inside the penalty area for Blackstenius, but she couldn't get the shot away, and driven high up into the dark night sky, and out of play by Bob Marti for a Sweden throw.
Such a brilliant delivery from Anderson. They are so dangerous on set pieces because it's all about the delivery.
Well, here they come again, Sweden. Rolfö, far post, couldn't control inside the penalty area after the cross from Angeldal. She just couldn't get the ball under her feet there, Fridolina Rolfö. She don't think she expected it to reach her, and now Spain are looking to counter-attack in the final 30 seconds of normal time in this first half. 0-0 it remains, but Sweden are showing why they have been such a potent threat and such a difficult side to beat at this Women's World Cup.
Yeah, that was definitely a chance for Rolfö. It looked like she just took her eye off the ball. I think she anticipated it very well, but then just couldn't quite get underneath it, because she could have also hit it first time potentially as well. That would have been asking a lot, but definitely to control it would have caused Spain a lot of problems.
Sweden have been here in the semis before. 3rd place in 2019, 3rd place in 2011. Runners-up the closest they've come in 2003. And 3rd place in the inaugural Women's World Cup in 1991. Spain at this stage.
As things go on, things might start to open up a little bit.
Ball is just inside Spain territory, and the referee blows the half-time whistle. So goalless at the break, live on Talksport 2. An intriguing first Women's World Cup 2023 semi-final. We've certainly seen the contrasted styles between Spain and Sweden, but ironically, given all of Spain's quality on the ball and the exuberance and the elegance that they show in possessing it, Sweden have had the best chance of the first 45 minutes. Late in the first half, Fridolina Rolfö's effort on the volley carried away by the Spain goalkeeper Kata Cole. Bon Marti and Carmona have had sights at goal for Jorge Vilda's team. Neither has managed to hit the target, and really you get the sense that this is a semi-final that could go either way. Half-time at Eden Park in Auckland, New Zealand. It is Spain 0, Sweden 0.
Leanne, it could go either way, and it could go all the way as well, it feels. And it also feels as if this Sweden performance is a little bit like their one against the USA in the round of 16. Until that last 5 minutes, there was no real rhythm, apart from that Rolfö shot towards the end. I mean, she scuffed the turf, but at least she forced a save.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're okay. Sweden will be happy going in at half-time with it being 0-0. I'm not saying that's their game plan to a certain degree, but you could see in the first half they were looking to disrupt the Spanish team. We speak about Spain having so much possession within the game, but we saw probably the closest chance that came was Rolf's opportunity. You know, before that, Carmona had a couple of opportunities for Spain, but other than that, Spain haven't really caused a lot of problems in the 18-yard box. I think the way the game started looked like Redondo down the right-hand side was causing some problems on Anderson, and then she kind of really enjoyed that battle. But I think as the game goes on, we'll hopefully start to see, you know, somebody stretching the field of play, because I think at times for Sweden, Blackstenius is just kind of up top on her own, chasing things, having to check back, you know, receiving the ball inside her own half. That's not where you want your number 9, but I think it's been a really good game so far.
I feel like the only way Spain are going to get through this staunch Sweden defence is by shooting from range, which is what we saw from that Carmona chance, 20 yards out on the left-hand side, Bonmati as well. From distance, because as soon as they get into the penalty box, they're just smothered by that Sweden defence.
Yeah, they're so organised, and it's so great to see. You know, Eriksson, Ilsted, Bjorn and Anderson have been really, really good, and I think attacking wise as well, we'll start to see Bjorn get a little bit more attacking, getting higher up the field of play down the right hand side. But I think Sweden they're so difficult to break down, Faye. These teams, when they're set up like that, Spain are very good at possessing the ball, but I think you rightly said that, they're going to have to look to maybe take some strikes, maybe go against what they usually do. And we saw that with Bonmati as well, having to receive that ball. You know, she had that strike that just went wide, but they're having to receive the ball in areas they're probably not comfortable to a certain degree.
Yeah, and Spain haven't given anything away. We only really saw a couple of corners, set pieces towards the end of that half, but Sweden maybe just lacked a little bit of composure in possession. Big half-time team talk from Peter Gerhardsson and Jorge Vilda, the two coaches. This is the Women's World Cup semi-final live on Talksport. Tight and edgy between Spain and Sweden, goalless at the break. Second half action coming next. Before that, we're going to look ahead to England's huge semi-final against Australia. Just about to kick off in this first semi-final between Spain and Sweden. Your commentary team are Leanne Sanderson and Joe Shannon.
Thank you, Faye. Well, historically, this semi-final is likely to be settled across 90 minutes. Only one World Cup semi-final has ever gone to extra time, though it did involve Sweden, and it was at the last World Cup, their defeat to the Netherlands back in 2019, where once again Sweden made the last four, but they couldn't make the step to the final. They've only reached the World Cup final once, in 2003, the year they were runners-up. We are back underway in Eden Park in Auckland in New Zealand, beneath the floodlights here. It's 9 o'clock local time, so well into the evening. Sweden 0, Spain 0, and an early clash of heads inside Spain territory to the right of the halfway line. Sweden all in bright yellow with blue trim, playing from left to right in the second half, and Spain with the red shirts, dark blue shorts and dark blue socks, playing from right to left. And it was a robust challenge by Carmona, leaning with the arm against Aslani, who's had some terrible injury problems over recent times. In fact, she was in tears in a press conference in April talking about her injury issues. Kosovare Aslani, the Sweden captain, going head-to-head with the Spain skipper Olga Carmona, but she's back on her feet. And Sweden have an early free kick. We know how potent they are from set plays. Very early on in the second half of the semi-final, with the score still 0-0. There's a yellow and blue Sweden flag that's been unfurled in the stand away to the right. A pocket of Sweden supporters who have seemed quite outnumbered by their Spain counterparts. Early free kick though for Sweden. Driven in high by Aslani to the edge of the penalty area, headed away by Paredes through a crowd. Sweden win the second ball, but it's quickly scooped clear initially by Abellera, and now Bonmati charging up towards the halfway line. I'll give you the two sides in full in just a moment. Remember, the winner of this semi-final will play the winner of the last four tie tomorrow in Sydney. Australia against England at Stadium Australia. Leanne and I will be with you for commentary at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning on Talksport 2. So 0-0 in the first of the semis. Spain catacalling goal. Bacha, Paredes, Laicadina and Carmona the back four. Puteas, Abellera and Bonmati in midfield. Redondo, Caldente and Hermoso up front. I'll give you the Sweden side in full in just a moment, but Spain are on the attack on the far side with Redondo. Plays it beyond and behind Bacha. Scoop clear upfield by Sweden. Rolfo is chasing. Laicadina there to send it back to the goalkeeper, who in the end was calm enough with the first time pass forward. Could easily have given it straight back to Rolfo there, but Spain have it on halfway. Lovely drive forward, crossfield from left to right, and a floated pass through the middle aimed at Redondo. Good goalkeeping. Off her line very quickly, Musovic. It was lovely play by Caldente to drift to a central position, play that neat ball down the middle, just a touch too much on it, 0-0.
Yeah, this is Mariana Caldente at her best. Such a fantastic player, gets into those areas. And in the first half, the first 10 minutes, we saw them trying to find Redondo quite a lot, and it kind of just faded away a little bit in the first half where they wasn't really trying to find her. But I think it's due to Anderson being so good in those 1v1 situations.
And the referee's come across Adina Alves of Brazil to the far side to speak to Fridolina Rolfo, who's just been caught. I'll give you the Sweden side with play stopped 3 minutes into the second half. 0-0 on Talksport 2. Musovic is the Sweden goalkeeper. Bjorn, Ilestedt, Eriksson and Andersson the defenders. Angeldal, Rubensen and Aslani in midfield. Canarid and Rolfo either side of Blackstenius up front. Sweden unbeaten in their last 6 matches in all competitions. Last lost in a friendly game against Denmark on April the 7th. They got a great record against Spain. 0-0 though in the semi-final. Canarid chasing down the right-hand side. Laia Kadina is across. She'll shepherd it back to Katakol, the goalkeeper, who got her wires crossed with Laia Kadina under pressure and plays the ball straight into touch, and it's a throw to Sweden down by the corner flag. For a goalkeeper making just her 3rd ever Spain appearance, all 3 have been in knockout games of the World Cup. Katakol looks remarkably relaxed, Leanne Sanderson.
She does, and the way Katakol received the ball in the first half as well, she seemed very, very calm. I don't think the coach will mind her receiving the ball, but if you're going to kick it out of bounds like that in those areas, he's not going to want that to happen.
Here's Bjorn down by the dead ball line, lofting in a high cross, deep to the far post. It's over the head of Rolfo. The referee spotted an infringement here. Now, was that an offside or had the ball drifted out of play from the cross from Bjorn? Either way, Spain have got themselves a free kick here. I think Bjorn was just offside and the assistant was in an excellent position to see it. So free kick to Spain, who have the ball with Laia Kadina. 15 goals they've scored at this tournament, Spain, the joint most along with Japan, who are out, beaten by Sweden in the quarter-finals. And Spain, 8 different scorers at the World Cup too. And 3 players who have scored 3 goals each at this World Cup. Bonmati, Hermoso and Redondo. So full of attacking ability, but they haven't been able to break down this Sweden team so far. Here is Bjorn just over the halfway line. That's a great ball down the right wing, looking for Canarid. Canarid down by the dead ball line, clips in the cross, high to the far post. Nobody in yellow shirt can reach it though. It was beyond Blackstenius. Rolfo not quite quick enough on the uptake. Spain have it with Paredes. The centre-half will chip the ball up towards the right-back position. Too much on that, though, for Redondo. Out of play. Throw to Sweden. 5.5 minutes into the second half. Goalless it remains, but Sweden finished the first half well, and they've started the second half well, former England striker Leanne Sanderson.
Yeah, they have, and it's interesting because within this game, you know, we know that Sweden look to make substitutions with Jakobsen and Hurtig potentially coming into this game and being those difference makers as well. I expect Paralluelo to come on for Spain, and I think a substitution within this game could really make a difference. I think sometimes, you know, we haven't really seen loads of clear-cut opportunities, and someone just needs to stretch the pitch a little bit.
Header back towards the dead ball line by Laia Kadina. Goalkeeper Katakol couldn't keep it out of, or keep it in play, and it's gone behind for a needlessly conceded Sweden corner. Needlessly conceded from a Spain perspective. The Sweden fans have got their bobble hats and scarves on. We're in the middle of the winter in Australia and New Zealand, and at just about the toughest stage of any World Cup, the semi-final, with the final a tantalisingly close prospect. Sweden have got that aerial threat, have got themselves a 3rd corner of the game. It's on the far side of the field. Aslani to drift this in, right-footed, punched away by the goalkeeper. She spills it, and the referee gives Spain a free kick in the end, and a sigh of relief for Katakol.
Yeah, it was a foul. You could see it was a really good ball in from Asalani, but the way the corner was conceded was the first time I think we've seen anybody make that run in behind. Asalani was actually the player that made the run, which made Spain concede the corner. So I think they just need to keep continuing to make those runs, maybe just catching Spain off guard. But that was definitely a foul.
And you're right, Eriksson did shove the goalkeeper. Here comes Spain on the attack with Jenny Hermoso, the Spain number 10. She's held it up well, the tall striker, but Caldente's threaded ball in field didn't reach Alexia Putellas, and Sweden are managing to disrupt this Spain side with increasing regularity as the game goes on. And Sweden, who have only won one of their previous 4 World Cup semi-finals before today. And Spain still searching for the opening goal of the game themselves. Peter Gerhardsson, the Sweden head coach, standing on the edge of his technical area. Nearly 8 minutes into the second half now. We've got more live football coming up for you on Talksport 2 later, with Peterborough away at Barnsley in League One. Commentary at 7:45 around the grounds on Talksport. And 3 live matches for you on Saturday and 2 on Friday. I'll tell you about those in a moment, but it's Sweden coming forward with Angeldal. Blocked off, firm but fair challenge by Teresa Abellera. Spain can counter now. Abellera on the halfway line, threads the ball to the left, and Caldente, who can't keep it in play. That was an uncharacteristically poor ball by Abellera, too much on it and over angled as well, so Caldente, even if it had the right pace, was always going to have to stretch to reach it. She couldn't keep it in. Sweden throw 0-0.
Yeah, that was the one time as well, really poor ball from Abellera. You could see what Alexia Putellas and Caldente were trying to do. It was an overload the first time we've seen that. You know, it was almost a 3v1 situation, so just a better pass would have allowed them to be on their way. But I don't think Alexia Putellas has had any type of impact on this game. I think obviously she started 2 games in this tournament already against Japan and Zambia, but other than that, you know, she's played minimal minutes coming back from that injury, and I don't think she's been able to have any type of impact on this game. I think Jenny Hermoso as well, you know, checking to feet all the time, and I think certainly it will start to open up a little bit more as the game goes on.
Long ball driven downfield by Elistet. It drops on the edge of the penalty area for Aslani. Aslani pokes it square to Rolfer. Rolfer is midway inside the Spain half, and just as she looked to find a teammate, suddenly Spain had a flurry of red shirts in the way, tracking back with great effectiveness. Sweden have had the one chance in the game so far, late in the first half. Rolfer denied by Katakol. That aside, we've rarely looked like seeing the opening goal, but that doesn't mean it hasn't been an intriguing match between these two. Carmona, the Spain left back, dispossessed. Kannerid for Sweden, poking it into the penalty area. Blackstenius from the angle, an almost impossible angle. She got the shot away, but no power behind it whatsoever. Blackstenius was on the stretch. Easiest of saves for Katakol. Spain 0, Sweden 0.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Paredes didn't look like she anticipated this ball to Blackstenius at all, because she looked like she was going to win the foot race and then kind of didn't anticipate, and Blackstenius just kind of snatches at the ball and it goes out.
Spain look like they're ready to make a change. This one of 450 live games this season across the Talksport network, more live football than anyone else. Friday night, Nottingham Forest against Sheffield United in the Premier League on Talksport. The Championship, we'll see Leeds play West Brom on Talksport 2, and then on Saturday, as Rolfo darts down the Sweden left, she's away from Batcher. Rolfo steers in the cross too close to the goalkeeper, who gathers easily. Saturday lunchtime, Plymouth Southampton on Talksport 2. Big day for Plymouth, who made a good start to life back in the Championship. Southampton after relegation from the top flights. Talksport 2 at 12:30. At 3 on Talksport, Wolves against Brighton. 8 o'clock, Manchester City against Newcastle, and the Monday Night Football is Palace against Arsenal. That's live on Talksport. Build up every morning ahead of those matches on Talksport Breakfast from 6 a.m. And tomorrow, Alan Brazil will be back in the hot seat. Jeff Stenning joins us on Breakfast as a host on Mondays and Tuesdays from December. The Brighton CEO Paul Barber on the Breakfast Show this morning. Now then, here comes the first change, 56 minutes into the match, and off goes Alexia Putellas, who in her 3rd start at this World Cup hasn't quite been able to really get into the game, and her replacement is the player who scored the winner in the quarter-finals, Salma Paraluelo, Spain's youngest ever scorer at a World Cup, and that was the change. You called it, Leanne Sanderson, not for the first time.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. It's a shame because Alexia Putellas has come into this tournament, you know, just coming back from that ACL injury, doesn't look like herself yet, but she will have no doubt come back to the ability that she had before the injury. I have no doubt with that, because she's a top player, best player in the world. But I'm loving that Paraluelo has come into this game. I love her a lot. I think we saw her play for Barcelona against Chelsea, didn't we, Joe, at Stamford Bridge? And I think she causes all sorts of problems.
That in the Champions League semi-final. This is the World Cup semi-final. Spain 0, Sweden 0. First touch for Paoluelo, laying it back into the path of Hermoso. Redondo spins and turns, blocked off. Important challenge that by Jonna Andersson. There were 3 yellow shirts surrounding Redondo there. Sweden managed to get back, defending in numbers, effectively closing out Spain, but already we've seen the explosive pace and creativity of Barcelona's Paoluelo.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I was calling for. Someone to stretch the field, creating those spaces underneath for Jenny Hermoso to be able to get on the ball. Paoluelo's come into the game and after 30 seconds does that, nearly creates an opportunity for Spain to score in Redondo.
Jorge Vilda made the change he felt he needed to make. Kanaryd trying to snap back at the heels of Hermoso midway inside the Sweden half, but Spain retained possession. Paoluelo, who is a tall player, has held it up neatly. Free kick given belatedly by the referee for the earlier foul on Jenny Hermoso. Not sure why Edina Alves didn't blow up earlier than that, but it is a free kick to Spain in a central position as we tick towards the hour mark in Auckland, New Zealand.
I think Kanaryd is really fortunate to have not picked up a yellow card already in this game. She's been quite late to a couple of situations, but we're seeing this replay back again of Paoluelo picking up the ball on the left-hand side and just finding Jenny Hermoso and then to Redondo. But I think, you know, Paoluelo's coming off the back of scoring the winning goal in the quarter-final as well, so the confidence will be there for her, and I think she'll be a real bright spot for this team coming into this game in around the 60th minute. 19
years, 271 days when she became Spain's youngest ever World Cup goal scorer in that quarter-final victory after extra time. 0-0 in the last 4 today. Spain against Sweden, Australia against England tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock on Talksport 2. The Lionesses against the Matildas in Sydney. Here comes Rubensson steaming through the middle for Sweden, trying to flick it to the left, and Andersson headed away by Batcher. Paoluelo looking to break, but it's well covered. They're such a diligent side, Sweden. Every time Spain look like they're in the possibility of threatening, Sweden seem to win that crucial second ball at the crucial time, Leanne.
Yeah, it's hard to know where the goal's actually going to come from, but the way it looks so far, whoever scores first will win the game. It could work differently because obviously when you go 1-0 down and you're chasing the game, you can see the Swedish substitutes warming up quite vigorously down this right-hand side on the touchline, and I expect them to probably bring on Jakobsen and Hurtig, similarly to what they did in the game against USA.
Kanaryd trying to flick the ball into the path of Aslani down by the dead ball line, but it's gone out of play for a goal kick away to our right-hand side to Spain. We have had now exactly 1 hour of play, and I think the rain is tumbling down in Auckland. It is at a very heavy pace, and plenty in the crowd are scrambling for waterproofs, for hats, anything that they can get to keep dry. It's suddenly pretty torrential here at Eden Park,
which might make a difference on the service. I'm looking for some shots from distance.
Bonmatí driving forward for Spain. Poor ball really to the right, but she still finds Redondo. Back to Bonmatí in the area. Bonmatí challenged by Rubensson. Tracking back, there was enough in that tackle to mean that Bonmatí's pullback was ineffective. The ball gathered by Zecira Musovic.
Yeah, the ball that Bonmatí played to Redondo, she played it to her like she wanted a 1-2, and that's exactly what she got, because the ball from Bonmatí could have sent Redondo almost towards goal. So it's a good recovery in the end from Rubensson.
Such a fascinating contrast between the two sides. The deft and intricate attacking play of Spain, and Sweden, who are supremely well organised and tactically very aware and alert. Here is Kanaryd, edge of the penalty area for them, into a central position. Blackstenius trying to lay it back. Angeldal might get the shot away, edge of the box, steers it wide to the near side. Aslani, that's a terrible ball in, intercepted easily by Laia Kadina, the first player at the near post. Wasted opportunity that for Sweden. Spain 0, Sweden 0. It's going to be really intriguing to see if this semi-final at the World Cup opens up in the last 28.5 minutes plus stoppage time.
Yeah, and I think Aslani has had a really good tournament. She's an interesting player because she seems to play really well for her country, but has quite a lot of moves within her career. You know, plays for Man City, then played for Real Madrid, and a lot of moves. But when she plays for Sweden, she's usually really reliable. I think Rolf has had a really good game today. She's been trying to get closer to Blackstenius, but I think Aslani needs to have a little bit more of an impact on this game, maybe create a little bit more opportunities in front of goal, because when you look at both teams, how many clear-cut opportunities have they created? You know, I'd love to see the heat map for how many times the ball's been in and around the 18-yard box on the edge centrally, because it really hasn't.
Two captains have collided here. Olga Carmona with a poor challenge on Aslani that I think has gone unpunished by the referee. You have to say that could well have been a yellow card, but I don't think it's been produced by Dina Alves. Spain have the ball 10 yards shy of halfway. Great deal of jeopardy in the game. You really feel it could go either way. Still waiting for the first goal of the first of the two Women's World Cup semi-finals. Sweden against Spain, and the Swedes have possession with Aslani, the number 9, down the near side, the right, waiting for the underlapping run of Kaneryd. Kaneryd drills in the cross, missed by the diving goalkeeper. Nobody in yellow could turn it home though. It's come back to Rolfo. Oh, she can't reach the pass of Anderson. Now Spain can counter. Batcher over the halfway line. That's a poor ball long towards Paraluelo. And actually, we spoke about the intricacy of the Spanish game, but actually it does feel like the more that this game is going on, the less and less accurate at times Spain have been with some of their passing play. And actually Kata Cole, I think, might have got a touch on that cross to deflect it away by Aslani, and now she's out to the edge of the penalty area to hammer it clear. Having an excellent tournament, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, that was a fantastic touch from Kata Cole, because the ball from Kaneryd I thought was really, really good, and you could see Blackstenius would have just been there to tap it in the back of the net. Really good touch from the goalkeeper.
Carmona has it back in the centre circle. Carmona taking it upon herself to drive forward, and now Bonmarti putting it to the right, and Redondo caught in the penalty area. Early ball in, Paraluelo! Header over the top, looping, unlikely from that sort of range to get it on target. Good football by Spain, 0-0 the score.
Yeah, certainly this game's opened up in the last 5 minutes or so. You can see it was a really good ball in from Caldente. It was asking a lot of Paraluelo to be able to get this. Redondo was putting the ball in, and it was asking a lot of Paraluelo to get underneath this. The ball's coming in quite tough, quite fast, but you want to get also numbers around Paraluelo. I feel like she's now up top, stretching the field of play. Jenny Hermoso needs to get underneath the ball, and also Caldente as well, get tighter towards Paraluelo and work off of her.
Ball is in the centre circle, and it's given away by Spain. Sloppy play in the middle of midfield by Caldente. Sweden are on the counter-attack with Aslani, just nudging it square to Angeldal. Lots of red shirts back behind the ball. One of them is Batcher, who makes the interception. Who is going to find the key to unlock the door in this semi-final? Two very evenly matched sides, and maybe Sweden have slightly edged it with the one chance, the one real save that either goalkeepers had to make at the end of the first half. Rolfo denied by the Spain goalkeeper Kata Cole, but Spain have had their fleeting moments coming forward as well. It's on the halfway line with Abellera, into the feet of Paraluelo, holds it up well. She's a different physical proposition as well for Spain to throw at Sweden up the middle. And here is Laia Cadena drifting over the halfway line. The ball taken up by Caldente, pushes it onto Hermoso through the gap towards Paraluelo. Could be in here through the middle, taking on the defender into the penalty area. Great burst by Paraluelo. Can she cut it back from the dead ball line? She can. Hooked away by Rubinson, headed further clear by Angeldal. Excellent feat by Paraluelo, but nobody in a Spain shirt could reach the second ball. That's a foul on Abellera without any question at all, and a free kick to Spain. We're very much within shooting range, about 5 yards from the edge of the box. Foul by Rolfo, 0-0.
Absolutely brilliant play from Paraluelo. I feel like Magdalena Eriksson is probably thinking, I'm so glad she hasn't been on from the beginning of the game, because she's causing all sorts of problems, and I can't quite understand
What's
how
it take
Rolfo's
to get
not,
a booking in this game?
I was just about to say that. She literally just really hit the ball really high in the face of Abuela.
That's a really poor challenge by Rolfo, and we don't want to see players booked, but there have been a couple of challenges, and it's been right in front of the referee, and how she didn't produce a yellow card there is extraordinary.
Yeah, that's a booking all day long. Really, really ridiculous, but this is a fantastic position for Spain. You can see Onabacha's on the ball.
Caldente standing over it. Talksport 2, midway through the second half of the Women's World Cup semi-final. Australia against England to come tomorrow. We'll have commentary of that at 11 o'clock in the morning. But here, late in the evening in Auckland, Spain 0, Sweden 0. Spain haven't really forced Musovic into a save so far. They have got players forward in the penalty area, but this free kick, left of centre, on the edge of the D. Prime shooting range here perhaps from Mariona Caldente. She will stride forward. She's going to do a slow run up and hit it right-footed, and it's deflected into the wall. It's going to trickle behind. It's a corner to Spain.
Yeah, not the best free kick in the end from Mariona Caldente. I'm a big fan of hers, but I felt like she could have probably played Carmona on the left-hand side. It's asking a lot, you expect a player to shoot from there, no doubt, but poor effort in the end.
Agonised look on the face of Caldente. Spain have a corner. Teresa Abellera of Real Madrid will take it. It'll be a right-footed in-swinging delivery, one arm up into the air. 0-0 with the floodlights gleaming high above our heads. Abellera in swinging delivery towards the edge of the 6-yard box, cleared away by Sweden. Flick header further clear by Kaneryd, nodded back into the box by Carmona, only a half away by Eriksson. That was a nervy header, just about enough on it for it to reach Rubensson, who drives the ball over the halfway line. Batcher in a chase with Kaneryd. Back to the goalkeeper it goes. Real sense of excitement in the crowd, real sense of excitement on the field. Who's going to get the first goal of this semi-final?
Yeah, that was fantastic composure from Mona Batcher. I mean, Kaneryd was breathing right down her throat, and she just took the nice touch, played it back to the goalkeeper. But I think, we see the game is starting to open up a little bit. I think, honestly, the Swedish back line have looked so good in this game, but since Paraluelo's come on, just causing them so many problems, with the pace and the tenaciousness to get on the end of the ball.
Poor clearance by Ilestedt, and it's picked up by Bonmati. Corner of the penalty area on the overlap is Batcher, tries to cut it back first time, right-footed, intercepted by Rolfo in the left-back position. She'll deal with that easily, shuffles it forward to the halfway line. Blackstenius is very much a lone striker at the moment. Spain are having a really good spell in the game, dominating possession, starting to look like they're capable of carving out the clear chance that they want. And they've got a throw right in front of the technical area where Jorge Bilder, the manager, is standing and waiting. In fact, it was he who picked up the ball to throw it to Carmona to get the ball moving again and get the game back underway. Just over 20 minutes to go, Leanne Sanderson, and the ebb and flow in this game is making it really hard to call which way it's going to go.
It really is, and I think the fact that Paraluelo's come into this game as well, I know I've spoken about her a lot, but I think she's fantastic, and you can see she's causing the backline all sorts of problems. For Magdalena Eriksson and Ilstedt, they'll be happy with the fact that, Jenny Hermoso checking to feet, Alexia Putellas wasn't making any runs in behind at all. And from a centre-back's perspective, it's happy days when the centre-forwards and the midfielders are doing that. Now Paraluelo's come on, is possessing a different type of threat, running in behind. You can see that they're looking over their shoulders constantly to see where she is.
Well, so much football from the Women's World Cup to come. We will bring you the final on Sunday, whoever is involved on the Talksport network. Here comes Spain, crossing from the left by Hermoso! Redondo was there, couldn't poke it home, but she puts it wide at the second attempt. Unbelievable! 2 bites of the cherry, and still Alba Redondo couldn't turn it home. The first chance was a very difficult one, and then somehow at the second attempt, Paraluelo pulled it back to her from the dead ball line. Redondo was on her back, sitting down inside the 6-yard box, but nobody was there, and she hooked the left-footed shot into the side netting. Some of the Spain fans thought it was in, somehow it stayed out. Spain 0, Sweden 0. Biggest chance of the semi-final.
Yeah, I don't know how she's not put that ball in the back of the net. Easier said than done, because Redondo was sitting on the ground when by the time the ball fell to her. Jenny Hermoso, fantastic ball into the box initially. I actually thought Redondo should have done better on the first one, but Anderson was coming across to potentially put her off. But I thought she should have done better, but Spain are certainly knocking on the door. Really good pullback from Paraluelo. Redondo would be really disappointed to not put that in the back of the net.
That was exactly the expression I was going to use. Spain are turning up the heat on Sweden here. 19 to go on Talksport 2. Extra time potentially looming. 0-0 it remains. Paraluelo has changed the game. Brilliant turn into the box from Paraluelo. Curling shot is blocked. She looks a live wire threat every time she gets the ball. But Sweden have won it back. And Sweden are still in the game, because Spain haven't taken advantage of the spell that they've had. Not yet, anyway. Here's Caldente. Fascinating last four tie this. Carmona. Left back position for Spain. Plays it square to La Cadena. Spain will build from the back again. Salma Paraluelo has made Spain look completely different and more dynamic attacking outfit, dare I say it. Here's Caldente left of centre, chests it down, poor ball forward. Poor from Caldente, straight out of play.
You can see what Caldente was trying to do, but it's quite interesting because Sweden are almost forcing Spain to have to play way quicker than they would have wanted to in the first place. They're turning over the ball in certain areas. Spain don't usually want to go back to front so quickly. They're usually a bit more patient, but with the way Sweden are playing and with how they're pressing, it's forcing Spain to have to play out of pressure. And I think it's almost working better for them because they created way more chances in these last 10 minutes since Paralluelo's come on and Jenny Hermoso's underneath.
Well, Redondo's chance for semi-final glory is over. She goes off, and Eva Navarro of Atletico Madrid is onto the field. Just her 14th Spain cap today. As Redondo takes her jacket, it's a chilly evening. The subs are all warmed up and wrapped up, and Redondo goes to sit back down in the dugout. I wonder whether she'll be replaying those two chances that she had in very quick succession over and over again in her mind. 17 minutes remain of normal time at least, and it's still goalless. Remember, only one World Cup semi-final in the women's game has ever gone to extra time before, and it involved Sweden. Opportunity for Navarro, straight into the game in the right wing position. Batcher trying to steam forward on the overlap. Back it goes into the middle of midfield. Hermoso floats it long into the penalty area. Headed away by Ilestedt. Drops down towards Paralluelo. Paralluelo escapes Angeldal. Back it goes to Batcher. Spain are really building here, looking very good on the ball. Can they carve out the chance they want? Batcher gets it back from Paralluelo. Crosses. Bonmatti's there. And poor from Caldente. She's actually knocked that straight out of play via deflection for a Spain throw. By the corner flag, it could have been so much more. I think the referee said actually it should be the other way. It did look like it came clean off the boots of Caldente initially.
Yeah, really good play from Batcher down the right hand side. I think there's a little bit more composure in the 18-yard box. Spain are knocking on the door for sure. They've come alive a little bit more in those final third areas, but just a little bit more composure in that 18-yard box. They're so composed all over the field of play, but once they get in there, just put their foot on top of the ball and just stroke it in the back of the net.
Here is Bonmatí, middle of opposition territory, back to the halfway line in La Cadena. Spain have had nearly 75% of the possession, Leanne Sanderson, in the last 10 minutes. That will tell you to some extent the pattern of play, but of course possession means nothing if you don't score a goal at the end of it all. And Sweden have got it now with Blackstenius, midway inside the Spain half. Rolfo just ahead of her. Here is Fridolina Rolfo, left hand edge of the penalty area, keeps it in play, whips in a high cross. Kata Cole gathers, and actually the assistant I think is flagging that it had already gone out of play by the time Rolfo crossed, and indeed it will be a goal kick to Spain.
Yeah, I think Spain are having their best moments of the game so far. They certainly look like the team more likely to score in the last 10-15 minutes, but I think I've been quite disappointed with Sweden centrally, because I feel like when they're getting the ball, they're just giving it straight back to Spain. They're not really offering much. Stina Blackstenius hasn't really had the ball up top. She's just kind of been going around there, kind of chasing shadows, wasting a lot of energy, and hasn't really received the ball to go to goal. It's almost, with the Swedish players, it's breaking down before it gets to Stina Blackstenius or Asselani.
A double change on the way for Sweden in just a couple of moments' time, and Rebecca Blomqvist is ready to come on, as is Olivia Schoff. And here comes Sweden with Canary, right wing position, clips in the cross. Oh, and it's just over the head of Blackstenius. She might have got a glancing blow on it as well. I think she did get a touch off the top of her head, but couldn't divert it towards goal. If she'd been able to, Sweden would probably be leading the semi-final by a goal to nil with 15 minutes left. And here comes Spain on the counter. Long ball by Bonmatí, raking pass up the right channel. Navarro chasing. Musovic, the Sweden goalkeeper, tried to let that go out for a goal kick, and in the end had to knock it out of play for a throw.
Yeah, that was an absolutely brilliant ball into the box from Canarid. I actually thought Stina Blackstenius should have done better. I thought she should have waited. I think she just anticipated went a little bit too early, and I think she'll be disappointed. We'll have to watch the replay back, but I think she'll be disappointed that hasn't gone in the back of the net. Here
come the changes for Sweden, and off goes Stina Blackstenius. That was her last effort, and Canarid of Chelsea leaving the field as well. And here come the two players, the newly arrived substitutes that we mentioned, Olivia Schoff and Rebecca Blomqvist. So new look in Sweden front line in part, Leanne. Looks like it's going to extra time this though.
Yeah, it does. It's going to be difficult because it's hard to know which team. I think Spain have looked the most likely, but then they go down one end and then Sweden go straight down the other end, look like they're going to counter. So I think the substitutions do make sense. I think, Stina Blackstenius hasn't had quite an underwhelming game, hasn't really been in it. And I'm surprised that Jakobsen hasn't come into the game, and Hurtig as well. We could see them coming on in the latter parts of this game. But yeah, it's hard to know where the first goal is exactly going to come from. Maybe an unforced error. But both teams, I think, defensively have been very, very good. I think Sweden certainly have. Paraluelo's caused more problems in this game because she's higher up the field of play and she's looked really dangerous. But other than that, I think they've looked really organised in the back line, both teams. And both goalkeepers have had a really good game.
Well, they've brought on players with goal-scoring ability. Rebecca Blomqvist has 2 goals in 4 appearances at the World Cup, and Olivia Skog has had a decent season at club level with Rosengard. But here comes Spain. Out on the far side of the right, Navarro crosses, too much on that for Paraluelo. It'll reach the far post in Caldente, who's blocked off immediately by the challenge of Natalie Bjorn. And Sweden still have that great determination about them defensively here. Spain have put it back on the halfway line with Laia Cadena. Chasing is Blomqvist, but back it goes to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, again, Blomqvist has come into this game, but similar to Stina Blackstenius, is just like a lone ranger up top. Sweden are not really possessing the ball and going back to front with any type of purpose. They're kind of turning over the ball really easily. Yes, they look organised, but they don't really seem to have any type of game plan when they're getting the ball into the final third.
Caldente's gone cross-field, and that's behind Eva Navarro, the substitute, and out to play it goes. 15 times they've managed to score in this tournament, Spain. Failed to score once, ironically, in the 4-0 defeat to Japan at the end of the group stages, but they put 3 past Costa Rica, 5 past Zambia, 5 past Sweden, 2 past the Netherlands, but Sweden are a different proposition. They put 5 past Switzerland, rather. I think I said 5 past Sweden. They certainly haven't put 5 past Sweden.
You never know, Joe. You never know.
It's unlikely, I would imagine, at this stage of the semi-final. 11 left, and Spain 0, Sweden 0 it remains. And Sweden have got that knowledge that they've beaten the USA, they've beaten Japan. Spain have never won the World Cup before. This is Spain's first ever semi-final, so this is new to them. Blomqvist is chasing a ball down the left, but Ona Batch is there for Spain to see it back to Paredes. Paredes forward to Abellera. Abellera midway inside her own half, pings it cross-field right to left to find Olga Carmona. Carmona from the left-back position up towards Caldente, in front of the Spain boss Vilda. Caldente gets away from the challenge, plays it forward to Paraluelo, edge of the penalty area. Paraluelo onto her left foot, shoots, is blocked. Too slow to get the shot away that time. Hermoso, corner of the box, lines one up high towards Navarro, headed away this time by Jonna Andersson of Sweden. Spain have a throw, 10 yards from the corner flag. 10 minutes to go plus stoppage time. 0-0, the semi-final, heading for extra time here on Talksport 2.
Yeah, good play again from Paraluelo. I actually thought she should have tried to find Navarro a little bit sooner. You can see she was trying to get half a yard to get a shot off, but Navarro is actually quite all alone on the back post on the right-hand side.
Good bit of control by Paraluelo with her back to goal. Now Bombarti squaring infield to a central position, and Carmona crossfield with the pass. Hermosa had to stick out a leg to control, then she whips in the cross towards Navarro. Paraluelo puts it in the bottom corner. Super sub, and she's maybe scored the goal to send Spain into the Women's World Cup final for the first time ever. Just 19 years of age, and Salma Paraluelo lights up football's biggest stage of all. Sweden finally broken down, and Spain, with less than 10 minutes to go, have the breakthrough in Auckland. Salma Paraluelo off the bench to put them in front. She has a beaming smile. Spain 1, Sweden 0.
Absolutely brilliant finish for Paraluelo. I know I've been singing her praises from the last game when she scored, but she certainly wants a player to be able to bring off the bench and make that impact. Absolutely brilliant finish. Such a good finish, such a good strike. Going away from goal to swivel on it like that. Absolutely brilliant. And I think Spain deserved that. You can see there's still time. I did say whoever scored the first goal I felt would win this game. There hasn't been many opportunities, but Paraluelo, when she came into this game, she's been absolutely brilliant. And I sound like I'm her biggest fan, and I am. I love her so much. I think she's such a good player.
Spain's youngest ever World Cup goal scorer, scored in the quarter-final. She scores in the semi-final, and Spain are closing in on a place in the final of football's biggest tournament for the first time in their history. Extraordinary, given all of the off-field anxieties that there have been. VAR is checking it. We're not sure what the possible infringement is. Was Navarro offside in the build-up? Was there a foul?
It was the player that was in front that was blocking Musovic.
Well, the VAR in conversation with the referee. The referee has allowed the goal to stand. Spain 1, Sweden 0. Paraluelo will run even harder now. She's completely changed the game since coming on. The check is over, the goal stands. Spain 7.5 minutes away, plus stoppage time from a World Cup final in Sydney, Australia.
Yeah, I think they were checking to see if the goalkeeper was being obstructed when Paraluelo hit that ball, but fantastic strike, lovely turn and swivel, and you could see Magdalena Eriksson and Musovic after. I think, because if they asked me before the game if it went to extra time who I felt would favour, I think it'd favour Sweden a little bit more, but that game plan that they had has worked up until Spain have scored, because now Sweden have to score.
They are desperate to force extra time at this point, Sweden. It looks like their best bet. The Spain fans are bouncing in the stands. The yellow and red flags have been unfurled, but it's not job done just yet. Live on Talksport 2, the semi-finals of a World Cup. The Sweden head coach Peter Gerhardsson out to the edge of his technical area. Free kick midway inside the Spain half. Rubinson lofts the ball into the penalty area, headed back across goal by a diving Magda Eriksson, and her centre-half partner Amanda Ilestedt, so prolific at this tournament, couldn't reach it at the far post. Goal kick to Spain, who lead 1-0.
Yeah, they are so good at those secondary runs. They really are. You know, Ilestedt and Magdalena Eriksson on those set pieces have had opportunities where they keep the ball alive and keep it running, but that one just fell by the wayside. But good play again from Sweden, causing problems on set pieces.
Bon Martí sliding in for Spain, who suddenly can't get the ball back, but it's been knocked out of play by Rolfö on the far side, the Sweden left, and a throw to Spain just shy of the halfway line. What a moment, that goal from Salma Paraluelo, a wonderful instinctive right-footed shot into the bottom corner at great pace, and she's come off the bench just as she did to give Spain the winning goal in the quarter-finals. Has she scored the winning goal in the semi-finals too? What a journey it's been for Spain under Jorge Vilda, but they haven't secured their spot in the last four yet. Remember, Australia and England will be watching on excitedly. The other semi-final is tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, live on Talksport 2. And how about Paraluelo's goal-scoring record for Spain? 8 in 13 caps as Kata Cole, the Spain goalkeeper, goes down, and they're going to call the physio on here, Leanne.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, because if this game stays the way it is, Paraluelo will be thinking, I need to be starting in the final for sure. But sometimes from a coaching perspective, when you have that type of player on the bench, you can bring them off the bench and have that type of impact. I think England have those big game players. We bring off the bench in Chloe Kelly and those types of big moments, types of players, and Paraluelo certainly in the last two games has been that player.
If they get through, I guess the debate will be, can you leave Alexia Putellas on the bench for a World Cup final? Isn't it extraordinary how football unfolds in the way that it sometimes does?
It is, and it's interesting because Alexia Putellas obviously hasn't started every single game based upon that ACL injury and her coming back and managing the minutes. I personally can't see them putting her on the bench if it still stays this way, but having that player that comes off the bench, the impact that Paraluelo has made, not just because of the goal, but she looks sharp, she looks fit, she looks ready, and she's come and had that impact, and it was such a good finish.
And watching a replay of the goal on our monitor in the commentary position as Kata Cole is treated. We are deep into the second half here of the Women's World Cup semi-finals. Spain 1, Sweden 0. If you're just joining us on Talksport 2, every England game at the Women's World Cup live on the network, the final live on the network on Sunday, England against Australia in the other last four tied tomorrow. Change for Sweden, they've brought on Arsenal's Lena Hurtig, and she's on in place of Elin Rubinson. Lena Hurtig, who scored a dramatic penalty shootout winner in the round of 16 against the United States. They couldn't even tell whether the ball had crossed the line initially. After a VAR check, it was confirmed it had. And Sweden needs some late drama here, Leanne, because with 3.5 minutes to go as the game is restarted after that injury to Catacol, the Spain goalkeeper. Sweden are behind.
Yeah, and I think the way the game's gone so far, I think the Paraluelo goal came at the perfect time in the 81st minute. You'd expect Sweden to be pushing, but I don't think they're pushing as much as you'd expect. You know, it's the 87th minute now, and they still look like they're not really going centrally, but they're going to have to throw everything at it now. Absolutely everything.
Is it going to be World Cup heartache for Sweden again? They just never seem to quite have enough. 5 times now they've been in the semi-finals. On the 4 previous occasions, they've only won once, and even when they reached the final that year, they were beaten. The World Cup eludes them. Fridolina Rolfo hooks in a deep cross. Lena Hurtig is there to nod it down. Here's the chance. It's 1-1. Sweden have equalised with 2.5 minutes to go. Rebecca Blomqvist, the substitute, has turned it in, and the World Cup semi-final is heading for extra time. Unbelievable scenes in Auckland. What a finish from Blomqvist. Kept her cool, kept her composure in the biggest moment of her sporting life. Sweden have rescued it. Their World Cup dreams are still alive. Spain won, Sweden won.
Absolutely brilliant finish from Blomqvist. Hurtig keeps it alive, heads it back across goal. I said it in the first half, didn't I, that some substitution will make a massive impact on this game. We've got 2 goals coming off the bench and an assist from Hurtig. Absolutely brilliant finish from Blomqvist. She made that look easy. Simply just in-step volley into the top corner with the right foot. Fantastic. Fantastic.
So 2 substitutes have scored, and now Spain are on the attack straight away. 1-1. Caldente dead ball line. Corner for Spain. Sliding in was Natalie Bjorn. Well, how this match has opened up. Remarkable World Cup drama of this enthralling tournament, the 2023 edition. Live on Talksport 2. It's a tournament that never ceases to amaze. It's a tournament where you start predicting the outcome and then you're confounded. Corner for Spain. Aballera takes it. Edge of the box. Carmona curls it! And it's in! Would you believe it? The captain has surely won it for Spain! Just seconds after Sweden had got the equaliser, Carmona, in off the crossbar, has made it Spain 2, Sweden 1. The epitome of a captain's goal. Spain thought they were heading for extra time, and now they're heading into the World Cup final. You could not write a script like this. It's a Women's World Cup like no other. Spain 2, Sweden 1. Absolutely sensational with 30 seconds of normal time to go.
Wow, wow, wow. Where has this game been? What a strike from Carmona. Absolutely brilliant. A lovely early set piece from the corner. Fantastic strike. She didn't have to break the net, just used the instep. Goes over Musovic. You could see afterwards Musovic is thinking, what could I have done better there? But it's a fantastic, absolutely brilliant strike from Carmona, who I was critical of in the first half. She had a couple of opportunities that went sailing over the bar, but what a game this has turned into.
Sweden were level for less than 2 minutes. Spain 2, Sweden 1. Jorge Vilda, the Spain coach, dancing down the touchline. Spain are heading into the World Cup final, but they've got to see out 7 added minutes. First of all, a tournament that confounds. Cleared away by the Spain goalkeeper Catacol. She was under pressure from the onrushing Aslani. 30 seconds of the 7 added minutes have been played, and Catacol is down and hurt, supposedly. Arms outstretched to the referee. Leanne, you're not convinced?
No, I'm not convinced.
Gamesmanship here from the goalkeeper.
The referee just came and helped Catacol up. Well, if it's to say get up.
And if it's not an injury, if she is feigning injury, there was barely any contact, then really that should be a booking.
Yeah, the referee just helped her up, and Catacol is one of the reasons why there's probably 7 minutes added on, because she went down previously. But what a game. This has been a really great game anyway, although when people say, oh, it's 0-0, how can you say it's been a great game? Both teams were going at it, couldn't break each other down, but these last 10-15 minutes have been absolutely amazing. When that ball went into the back of the net from Carmona, I got the chills, genuinely. It was absolutely amazing.
Well, it's not done yet. 90 seconds through 7 added. Spain 2, Sweden 1. We've seen 3 goals in the space of 8 second half minutes, right at the end of normal time. Sweden were level for less than 2 minutes. They thought they were heading to extra time, but then the Spain captain, Olga Carmona, with the biggest and most important goal of her life so far. But Spain have got some defending to do. Rolfo down the Sweden left, looping in a high cross. Goalkeeper watches it drop onto the roof of the net. A goal kick to Spain. 2-1 they lead, heading for the final at Stadium Australia on Sunday live on the network.
Yeah, Anderson there gets the ball down the left-hand side. Really needed a good delivery into the box, couldn't quite get hold of it. You could see all the Swedish players as they were appealing for a penalty off a handball. I don't think that was a penalty at all. I can see why they're appealing though all day long, but this game has really turned on its head in the last 10-15 minutes. It's been amazing. Exactly what you want from a semi-final.
Paraluelo chasing down the right for Spain. 2.5 minutes of the 7 have been played. Spain leading by the odd goal in 3. Well, it was a game that took a long while to open up, but suddenly it's done exactly that. We've seen 3 excellent goals, brilliant finishes, and Sweden are coming forward looking for a second equaliser to take the game into extra time, but they can't play it through the middle as they would want. Rolfo couldn't get there. It's through to the Spain goalkeeper, all in grey away to our right, Katakol. The Sweden head coach, Peter Gerhardsson, arms folded on the edge of the technical area. The Matildas against the Lionesses tomorrow. Australia against England on Talksport 2. They'll do well to match the late drama that we've had here. Free kick to Sweden just inside the Spain half. You do get the sense maybe there'll be one last chance for Sweden in this as they look to rescue their World Cup. They have to score in the remaining 3 minutes 45 seconds of added time to take us into extra time, Leanne.
Yeah, this set piece, just load the box, put it in. Angendal will put the ball into the box. Everybody's forward.
Almost everybody, bar the Sweden goalkeeper Musovic, who may yet come forward later on in stoppage time if there's a set play. Spain, everybody back, long line of red shirts, plenty in yellow forward, long into the box by Angeldal, Hortig far post, Eriksson trying to bundle it in, referee's given Spain the free kick. Foul inside the 18-yard box. Ilestedt is furious, but Adina Alves, the referee, is calm, unmoved. Spain free kick, Spain 2, Sweden 1, deep into second half stoppage time in the semi-final.
Yeah, that was very clever from Paredes because there wasn't much in that at all. When I first saw it, I thought it was a definite foul, but very clever play from Paredes to go down there, sold it, and it fell to Hurtig. Sweden were definitely pushing.
Spain making a late change. Caldente leaves the field. Esther Gonzalez, who has been a regular at this World Cup, scored in the group stages, is coming onto the field. A brilliant goal-scoring record, Esther Gonzalez, but I think this feels like a change, not so much to play out time, because you can't really do that these days, but just some fresh legs, and Gonzalez will chase everything for the final 2.5 minutes. Spain 2, Sweden 1. Spain heading for their first ever victory over Sweden, but more importantly, to their first ever World Cup final. Forward by Paraluelo, up towards Gonzalez, her first touch, corner of the penalty area, evades 2 in yellow, plays it back towards Bonmarti. Bonmarti's pass intercepted. Rolfo for Sweden. They've got 2 minutes to fashion an equaliser to take us to extra time. Blomqvist thought she'd done it with 2 minutes to go, but Spain went straight up the other end and scored their second goal, and that's why they lead 2-1. And Spain have won it back on the halfway line with Navarro, and Navarro has won a free kick, and that'll be a big sigh of relief for the Spain head coach, Jorge Vildalia.
Yeah, well done, Navarro. Great play, just taking the ball, drawing the foul in the initial one about a minute ago. Bonmati. Spain are 2-1 up, so they have to have game management, just see the game out. They don't have to get another goal, take the ball to the corners and just keep hold of the ball.
Jorge Vilda, he's managing to smile. I don't know how he's managing to look so calm and composed. He's got rid of his jacket as Spain come forward. Just over a minute of stoppage time left. Navarro dead ball line. Can't keep the ball in. It was a poor pass by Bonmarti. Overhit. Spain must keep their composure here. They've only got a minute to see out, leading 2-1.
See, those things frustrate me because literally it might seem boring just taking it to the corner, but game management, just keep the ball. Bonmati, who's a class player, one of my favourite players to watch in the world, just play the ball to Navarro.
Long ball over the top towards Gonzalez for Spain. She could be in here. Ilestedt manages to hold her off. The Sweden goalkeeper Musovic pounces on the ball. Sweden have got 45 seconds, otherwise their World Cup dream is over again at the semi-final stage. Here is The ball on the halfway line for them. It's knocked down the right towards Hurtig. Hurtig chasing. Carmona is fouled by Hurtig, it looked like. I think the referee's blown for a free kick. She has. Hurtig, hands to her head, can't believe it. That might just about be enough for Spain to see them into the World Cup final 2-1 against Sweden. Very, very late on in stoppage time.
Yeah, well done, Carmona. Gets across, Hurtig just goes up. Looks like it could have been a foul for sure, but great play from Carmona. Looks like she's going to score the game winner.
The ball is cleared by Carmona downfield. All eyes on the referee. Spain are seconds away from victory in the last 4. Sweden have a throw deep into Spanish territory. We've had the 7 minutes of added time. The clearance upfield by Carmona. Still the referee doesn't blow. Paraloelo is breaking over halfway. 3 against 3. The referee stopped the game. It's a free kick to Sweden. On the near side touchline, right on the halfway line. Spain head coach Jorge Vilda issuing instructions. Spain are nearly there. Peter Gerhardsson, the Sweden boss, says everybody get forward. The ball is deep in the Spain half. Lena Hurtig whips in the cross. Well gathered by Katakol, the goalkeeper, who's only making a third ever Spain appearance. She only came into the side in the knockout stages. What a job she's done at 22 years of age. The final whistle is blown. History for Spain, through to the final of a Women's World Cup for the first time ever. History makers and trailblazers, and after all of the disputes pre-tournament, all of the heartache, all of the disappointments of years gone by, Spain finally will have a chance to play in the showpiece of a major tournament. It's an incredible achievement for Jorge Vilda's team. They have beaten Sweden by 2 goals to 1. Some of the Spain players collapsed to the floor, but they will be playing in the final of the Women's World Cup at Stadium Australia in Sydney on Sunday. It is Spain who will be facing either Australia or England. Desperate disappointment for Sweden, beaten in the semi-finals again. Their World Cup heartache continues here in New Zealand, but for Spain it is the most remarkable achievement, arguably against the odds. So many squad members not involved in this World Cup, the dispute between the players and the FA, all of the talk around the coaching staff, but Spain have shown the character and the quality to persevere and reach a World Cup final for the first time, and they will be so excited and delighted about that. An incredible semi-final that really came into its own in the closing minutes. Salma Paraloelo came off the bench, Spain's youngest ever World Cup goal scorer, to give them the lead. But then Sweden thought they forced extra time when one of their own substitutes, Rebecca Blomqvist, hit the equaliser, but it was a leveller that only stood for a minute or so, because Spain went straight up the other end and scored. Olga Carmona, the captain, with the winner off the bar, and there are tears from both sets of players. Despair for Sweden, but tears of joy for Spain as the players huddle in and around the centre circle, looks on their faces like they can't quite believe it. Sweden utterly dejected, but it is Spain who are through to the Women's World Cup final, and Australia or England will meet them at Stadium Australia on Sunday morning. It has finished in Auckland. Spain 2, Sweden 1.
Wow, what drama, Leanne Sanderson. That was quite incredible. It was such a tight and cagey match until that last 10 minutes, and then the 7 minutes of extra time was so nervy. But I feel as if on the balance of play, Spain deserved that in the end.
Yeah, I mean, what a game we had in the last 10 minutes, especially obviously the goals. I think overall it was a good quality game. I think both teams, we spoke about different styles before the game. I think ultimately, Spain deserved it. I think Sweden were looking for it to get to extra time and thinking, we can do this in extra time. You can see exactly what it feels for these Swedish players. I feel for them because I've been there myself. When you lose a game of this magnitude, it doesn't get much bigger really, losing a semi-final of a World Cup. But Spain, I think ultimately definitely deserved it.
I tell you what, Salma Paralluelo, listen to this, right? She was born in 2003. First and foremost, that makes me feel ancient because that was 20 years ago. And I was in Australia 20 years ago in 2003. But that was also the last time Sweden reached the World Cup final, where they were ultimately beaten by Germany. It's devastation for this Sweden time. They're always just so close.
They are, but they've definitely progressed from last Euros, you know, in the summer in England. You could see they progressed, but this one will hurt. It will hurt for a while, but they've come a long way. They've got a lot of quality players within this team. You know, the substitutions, I spoke about this during the game. I felt like the subs would make an impact, and both their subs did. You know, Hurtig getting the assist and Blomqvist scoring the goal. And then I felt like they pulled themselves back into the game. I think, you know, the Swedish team can be really proud. It will hurt for a few days. You know, it will hurt from a player's perspective. It's one of those ones you don't really want to watch it back because they hurt. They really do at this moment. But fair play to Spain. I think they deserved it in the end. And I think Sweden were really organised. And I think they'll definitely bounce back from this, because I think some of the Scandinavian teams have been quite underwhelming in the last recent tournaments. I think in this one, Sweden have definitely done themselves justice. And they look like the Sweden of old.
They'll be so frustrated with themselves, though, having got back into the game through Rebecca Blomqvist, to then concede so quickly afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. But I was talking about Paralluelo a lot during the commentary, and I love her. I love watching her play for Barcelona. She's usually that player that you could bring on as an impact sub. But now she's going to be knocking on the door, isn't she? Because it's interesting to see what happens in the final. I think, you know, part of me feels like Alexia Putellas will start that game. But Paralluelo, she's certainly made her impact in this tournament. In the last game, scoring the winning goal in extra time. And now this one, fantastic, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and Carmona, of course, in off the crossbar for the winner. So the question is, right, if England get past Australia tomorrow, are they going to fancy themselves against this Spain side?
Yeah, I think whoever plays against whoever at this moment in time, Faye, is always going to be a difficult game. It's a semi-final now. England will know if they beat the Matildas tomorrow, they'll play against Spain. They will fancy their chances based upon potentially beating them last year in the Euros, but that's kind of gone out the window now to a certain degree. You know, these players are there. Spain have good enough players individually in this team. I think just fortunately Alexia Putellas, and I say fortunately because if England get there, Alexia Putellas isn't playing at her maximal best, but that's okay. They still have top players within this Spain team that can do a job. I mean, Bon Mati, I think in the second half kind of disappeared a little bit, but in the first half she was absolutely brilliant. Not many players in the world can receive the ball in between the lines like she can and really set up play. So, and we speak a lot about this Spanish team, the adversity they faced on and off the field, and you know, 12 players not being there, 3 players in deciding to go. A lot of talk has happened, and look what happens, Faye. They're in the World Cup final.
Yeah, absolutely incredible scenes. Exactly 24 hours from now, we're going to see England step out at Stadium Australia against the co-hosts Australia. Cannot wait for it. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning for the right to play Spain, Leanne.
Yes, you will do. I think we should just sleep here, Faye, all of us.
We might
We're
as
not going
well,
home.
We might as well. Don't do that, though. Or if you do, join us at 6 p.m. on Talksport 2. Myself and former Tottenham captain Jenna Scalacci will be here for the Women's World Cup show. We'll bring you all the post-match reaction from this game, and we'll preview the Lionesses taking on the Matildas in Sydney for the second semi-final. That's the Women's World Cup show tonight from 6 right here on Talksport, available on podcast, of course, as well. So Sweden, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Spain into their first ever Women's World Cup final, but who will their opponents be? You'll find out here on Talksport 2 tomorrow when it's the turn of England and Australia. Live commentary at 11 a.m. Build up from 10:30. Bring it on. And if it's anything like the end of this semi-final, we're in for some drama.
It is crunch time at the 2023 Women's World Cup. Hermoso trying to spin and turn. Clever pass backwards to Carmona, who drives it from range, and it's just beyond the near post. Spain so close to the opening goal. Cleared away by Carmona for Spain again from the dead ball line. Only as far as Bjorn. Hooks it into the box. Rolled for far post. Forces the save from the goalkeeper. Here comes Spain. Crossing from the left by Hermoso. Redondo was there, couldn't poke it home, but she puts it wide at the second attempt. Hermoso had to stick out of late control. Then she whips in the cross towards Navarro. Paralluelo puts it in the bottom corner. Super sub! Through to Lena Rolfo, hooks in a deep cross. Lena Hurtig is there to nod it down. Here's the chance! It's 1-1! Sweden have equalised with 2.5 minutes to go! Corner for Spain. Abaliera takes it. Edge of the box. Carmona curls it! And it's in! Would you believe it? The captain has surely won it for Spain. Just seconds after Sweden had got the equaliser, the final whistle is blown. History for Spain. Through to the final of a Women's World Cup for the first time ever.